It's a game day triple header on Talksport, and our first slice of the action comes from the Etihad Stadium in East Manchester for Manchester City against Brentford. Later we're off for Tottenham, Leeds and Wolves and Arsenal later on tonight at 7:45 this evening. But first, a chance for Manchester City to put scoreboard pressure on the Gunners with victory here against Brentford. The two teams look like this. It is Ederson in goal for Manchester City, Stones, Akanji, Laporte and Cancelo, De Bruyne, Rodri and Gundogan, and then Silva, Haaland and Foden in attack for the home team. For the away side, Brentford, it's Raya in goal, a back five of Roeslav, Pinnock, Zanka, Jorgensen and me, with Henry as the left wing back, Onyeka, Janel and Jensen, Mbeumo and Tony up top. Manchester City in light blue shirts and white shorts, light blue socks, attacking the goal away to our right in the first half as the members of the armed forces in their camouflage trousers and grey tops trot off, taking the poppy banner away to the near corner and are roundly applauded by everybody in the City Stadium. And then we're underway with Brentford in red and white stripes and black shorts, attacking the goal away to our left in this first half, live on Talksport, and Mickey Gray is alongside me. And today it's all about signing off in style for Manchester City. How did Brentford stop Manchester City from doing just that?
Well, a sharp start like we're seeing in front of us right now, Sam. That's exactly the way they needed to get going in this game, and I think Thomas Frank knows the importance of that. And if you can get off to a good start, then you've got yourself something to hang on to. But Pep Guardiola has gone strong in this game. Erling Haaland back in the starting 11, the perfect 100% record at home. It's a difficult ask.
Referee is Peter Banks. VAR David Coote today. The ball sent long down the middle of the pitch, looking for Brian Mbeumo, who will be going away with the Cameroon squad after switching his allegiance back in August. 50th Premier League appearance today for Brentford, the first player to do that. His 150th appearance for the club as well, and he tries to win a header which eventually goes out on the far side for a throw-in for João Cancelo, who was sent off last week but served his suspension in the Carabao Cup. Back it goes to Laporte, who'll be going away with Spain, and then across to Akanji and out to the near side where John Stones, who's playing right back again today, and when he goes away with England, he'll very much be expected to play as one of the centre halves.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's something that I think John Stones is comfortable with now. It's always a kind of a guessing game when you see the team sheet come out for Manchester City, Sam, of who's going to be playing in those two central positions. Akanji's played as a right back. He's certainly playing as a centre half in this game. But they're all settled. They know their jobs. They keep the ball, a lot of possession, and they just settle into the system right away like they are now.
This is Talksport. Sam Matterface and Mickey Gray at the Etihad Stadium. A minute and 50 seconds played. The ball is deep inside the City half. Over the halfway line it goes to Gundogan, who will be going away with Germany. Nudges it on to Foden. Foden tries to just knock it back into the path of Cancelo. It takes a deflection off Roeslav and goes out for a throw-in over on the far side. The last three occasions, by the way, that haven't been Manchester City who have gone on to win the title when they're top of the table. Who's top of the table on Christmas Day? Have been Manchester City coming from behind to win it. And that was Liverpool on top on Christmas Day in 2013-14. City came from behind to win that. 18-19 was the same scenario, and 2021 was the same scenario. So Liverpool finishing on top at Christmas doesn't necessarily mean champions, but everybody else seemingly does. Maybe Arsenal will go on and do it. Certainly we'll find out a little bit more about them later on tonight, live on Talksport, 7:45 this evening when they take on Wolves. Chris Owellamo and Clive will be bringing you that one. David Raya has a goal kick away to our right-hand side. He launches it long, flicked on by Tony, further on by Mbeumo. Rico Henry finds Onyeka, who bursts past Stones, into the box, tries a shot blocked by Ederson, who came out smartly to meet Onyeka at the feet of the steaming Nigerian player who was bounding through into the penalty area after the flick on this left-hand side by Rico Henry. John Stones knew he couldn't challenge him, but he unsettled him.
What a chance. What a start to the game for Brentford. They're on the front foot. Ivan Toney, nice and strong, winning the first header. And then Onyeka, great run through the area.
City response comes from Cancelo, down the left into the box, a deflection takes it into the air, and David Raya just got his angles slightly confused, and he went to lean over with a little back bend to try and grab the ball, but then realised he was going to have to overstretch, almost dropped it. But let's go back down the other end and look at that save from Ederson, because that was a great route in from Thomas Frank's team, and Ederson had to come to Manchester City's rescue.
Well, Sam, you don't normally get opportunities like that, certainly early on in the game against the back four of Manchester City, but it was all from Ivan Toney. He was stronger than Akanji, and then Onyeka showed a lot of pace to get away from John Stones, and he had the chance just to dink it over the keeper but take nothing away from Ederson. That was a fantastic save.
0-0. Talksport live at the Etihad Stadium. Quick throw down the left from Jensen in towards Rico Henry, who's crossed into the box, is met by Onyeka, comes through to Mbeumo, whose shot is blocked by Laporte just from the edge of the 18-yard line. It's smuggled clear, collected again on the right hand side, this time by Jorgensen towards the far touchline, and Roeslav. Jorgensen's delivery into the box is headed away by Laporte, and it comes out to Gundogan, and Manchester City have soaked up that little bit of pressure and now will look to try and move. But if anyone thought that Brentford were going to come here and sit back, try and soak up Manchester City wave after attack throughout the course of this afternoon, then they've been sorely mistaken, because it's they who have made the most aggressive start.
Oh, absolutely, and it's refreshing to see. A lot of times sides come to the Etihad Stadium, they sit back, they try and soak up pressure. Well, Brentford are certainly not doing that. Committing players forwards, they've created opportunities, and they're being very positive. Got
back into a good shape now, though, as Manchester City look to try and prize them open. It's cleared away from the right side by Roeslav up towards the halfway line. Akanji, who said this week that he very much is a centre-back. He'll play it right back if you ask him to, but he wants to be a centre-back. Plays it left, and De Bruyne with a rather careless pass. We don't say that too often. And then on to Gundogan. Then out to the left, and Foden looking for Haaland. It's cleared away by Jorgensen. Picked up again on the right side. It's a poor ball out by De Bruyne, and then picked up by Rico Henry, who's got rocket speed and is charging down the left touchline. Away into the box, producing a cross. Ederson's not going to get there. He's going to come to Mbeumo, and then Ivan Toney, stopped by Ederson. Tony's trying to get there again on the edge of the 6-yard box, and Rodri comes to Manchester City's rescue. Ederson's made 2 big saves. We haven't played 6 minutes yet.
Well, I can't believe my eyes at the moment, but this is fantastic, and what a start to the game from Brentford. Rico Henry, overlapping fullback, he's ran 70-80 yards with that ball without being challenged. He's put a lovely ball into the air, and I'm just wondering whether Ederson would have been better actually to let that go. He's took a touch and it's fell into the path of the Brentford players, and then when a ball falls to Ivan Toney, I think he's tried to more place it, Sam, than get his laces through it with a lot of power, which probably was the better option.
Well, if he had a score to settle, he certainly had the best opportunity he may get throughout the course of the afternoon to register here at the Etihad Stadium in these opening 5 minutes. It's 0-0. It's a Brentford corner away to our left-hand side, the first of the game. And Brentford, who have had 2 good chances already in the match, are on the offensive. 0-0 the score, live on Talksport. Later on it's Spurs Leeds and Wolves Arsenal, right here on this station. Ultimate Internationals over on Talksport 2, the Talksport network, the place to be this Saturday afternoon. Here is the corner kick from Jensen towards the far post. Ederson goes towards it. Toney was coming in really quickly and looking to put pressure on Ederson, but the Brazilian goalkeeper this time claimed with clarity and throws it out to the far side. Oh, what a ball from João Cancelo. David Raya come out a long way. He's nudged the ball clear to Gundogan, and then Gundogan, who was encouraged to shoot from 45 yards, shanked it. And Brentford got a little bit lucky themselves, and now they come up down the left-hand side, and then Burmo's trying to bend the ball around the back of Akanji. Tony's got there after a poor clearance by the Swiss international, and Brentford are coming at them again. Maybe Brentford sense that there might be a little bit of World Cup fatigue already in the legs of the Manchester City ranks. Maybe they believe that their eyes have already glanced towards the Middle East and their mind's not quite on the ball, and certainly Brentford are making sure they're going to have to work for any points that they get here this afternoon.
Well, I mean, you talk about starts to games and reactions of players who've been left out of the squad. Ivan Toney started the game really, really brightly. Rico Henry over on this left-hand side looks at it, there's no doubt about it. But then Manchester City springing to life. A ball from the back to front. Erling Haaland. It was about a 70-30 challenge, wasn't it, with Raya, who got there before Haaland, but that's what he can bring to the table.
Gundogan plays it square, picked up by Stones, 20 yards from the edge of the area in towards Haaland. His header isn't met, so it comes out to De Bruyne, and then it's onto the left angle of the penalty area, and Phil Foden into De Bruyne with a cross towards the far post, and rising was Haaland across the face of goal for Gundogan. It's over his head and nudged behind by Zanka, and out for a corner over on the far side. Haaland showing that he can also try to provide creator as well.
And he's onside. Great ball in from Kevin De Bruyne. And Haaland there, yes, it was too tight of an angle for him to go for goal. He's done the right thing, and he was just waiting for one of his teammates to come into the box.
Corner from Foden, aiming towards John Stones at the far post. It's over his head. Bernardo Silva keeps it alive. Gundogan flicks it on, away by Ethan Pinnock. It drops on the edge of the Brentford penalty area, and Foden's won it back again. Pokes it down to Haaland inside the area. Deflection on his shot. Takes it over the top of the crossbar, and it's out for a second successive corner to Manchester City. It's 0-0. You're listening to Talksport. It's been a cracking first 10 minutes.
Yeah, been very lively. And the big man certainly at it, Erling Haaland. His movement looks really sharp. Looks like he wants to continue scoring goals. And a couple of little looks already in the early stages of this game.
Brentford pretty effective on the road last season, but it has been a different story this campaign. Well, they've started this game superbly against the champions of England. Here is Foden, bending the ball to the edge of the 6-yard box again. Aimed towards Stones, might drop inside the area. It's cleared away by Pinnock. He nudges it down the middle of the pitch, and it's over the halfway line and away to safety for Brentford, and retrieved over on the far side by Cancelo. This is Talksport, and we're live at the Etihad Stadium. And remember, from next Monday, not this Monday coming, the Monday afterwards, we're going to be decamping to Qatar, and we will be bringing you every single game from the World Cup live on Talksport. We know that the timings are sometimes awkward, so you might want to have to listen to the radio. You might be in your car at any time. Well, we're there for you. We've got everything. So make sure you've got the Talksport app. You can flick between Talksport and Talksport 2, and you'll hear every moment of action here from Qatar in the Middle East. Here is Akanji nudging the ball out to the near side. And then Bernardo Silva. Akanji gets it back to his goalkeeper. Those two are going to be rivals at some stage during the course of the World Cup, Akanji and Ederson. I wonder if they've shared any information about their two respective squads, Brazil and Switzerland. They'll be playing each other in the group stages. Ederson clears up over the halfway line was the intended idea, but Onyeka stepped in just before that, headed it out on the near side. It's away for a throw-in.
Well, I don't think I've seen Manchester City this rattled in the first 10 minutes of a game for a long time, Sam. Their flow of the passing's not really started yet. They normally control things at the back, and they just grow into the game a little bit. But Kevin De Bruyne, on a couple of occasions, dare I say it, has given the ball away. They look a little bit shaky at the back with Laporte and Akanji. But that's all down to the way that Brentford have started this game. They've been first class.
I just wonder whether or not, I mean, you and I were at the game in midweek at Old Trafford, and it was a really slow start to that game in the first half. I'll break off because De Bruyne was weaved towards the edge of the area, step over by Foden, and well read that by Onyeka, who's come in for Josh De Silva, and he's just nipped in, taken the ball, given it to Jensen, and cleared it away towards halfway. I did the Barcelona game on Tuesday night. They played Osasuna. They were a little bit slow to start with. Obviously, Rayo Vallecano beat Real Madrid on Monday night. I just wonder if there's a few eyes that have just been drawn to matters further down the calendar rather than the job in hand, and that's a concern for Pep Guardiola, who did say actually yesterday, doesn't matter if we win or lose tomorrow, it's not going to affect the title race. You never know, it might,
Yeah, no, absolutely. They can't afford to lose any game, certainly at the moment, the way Arsenal are playing. But yeah, they're rattled at the moment. You're right, the flow has gone out of the game. It's just starting to kick into gear now.
Gundogan finds De Bruyne, who strides forward, plays it to the left. Foden gets into the penalty area, sends it back to De Bruyne on the left edge of the box. He strikes, it's blocked by Jorgensen. It goes out to the far side. There's a heavy touch by Foden, then runs and scampers to the touchline and just about keeps it in. Back centrally it comes, into the middle of the Brentford half. It's Rodri to Stones, who cuts in. He's now on his right foot, but he's on the wrong angle. He plays it left-footed instead now to Cancelo, who's inside the area left side. Ruslav holds him off well, and he's nudged behind and away for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. It's Talksport. It is 0-0, and we are live at the Etihad Stadium.
Just having a look at that opportunity there from Phil Foden and Sam. He just chopped it back. It was fantastic, and he just played it towards Kevin De Bruyne. But he played it a little bit too far behind him, and he had to kind of swoop his left foot around to try and get his strike away.
You're listening to Manchester City 0, Brentford 0 on Talksport with Now. Don't forget, with the Now Sports, you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Newcastle, Chelsea and Wolves versus Arsenal live today for $11.99. No contract. Search Now Sports. And it's been a lively start for these two teams. And we've had an incident at both ends, which has been great for us. 14 minutes gone. Here is Laporte, just left of the 18-yard box away to our left-hand side. Manchester City are defending. Haaland gets it back to Gundogan, who can't get it forward to him. De Bruyne goes charging through. Good challenge from Jorgensen far side. He's not going to be in the Denmark squad, Jorgensen. And it's cleared away towards the halfway line. Back in field it goes to Rodri, towards the left, and Cancelo, who takes a few steps into Brentford territory. He's down the left side of the centre circle, still running, pigeon steps forward, trying to find an outlet. A blue shirt that wants the ball. De Bruyne takes it. His pass is fired into a red shirt rather than a blue one. And they're escaping again here with Onyeka, who's gone down over on the far side. It's going to be a free kick to Brentford, just 3 yards in from the right touchline.
Well, Brentford know that they're going to have to work their socks off for the full 90 minutes to get a result at the Etihad Stadium against Manchester City today, Sam. And when they do lose the ball, you can see it's a flat back five that Man City have got to try and break down. But also in front of them, you've got 3-4 midfield players who are just saying to you, right, we're going to try and break up those lines. We're going to make it difficult for you to try and play through us. But if you do make a mistake, we're not just going to sit in, we're not going to play the ball around and have 5 or 6 passes. We're going to get the ball forward as quick as we possibly can.
Doing that now. Roerslev heads it on. It comes towards the edge of the area and it's poked in by Ivan Toney, who's got there ahead of everybody with his forehead to nudge it over the top of Ederson, who came but didn't claim. And Ivan Toney may well have missed out on a place on the plane to Qatar, but he has taken off brilliantly here at the Etihad Stadium. Brentford lead Manchester City by 1-0, and after 16 minutes, it's nothing more than they deserve.
Absolutely brilliant start to the game from Brentford. They're on the front foot. This comes from a free kick. And it's Ben Mee who wants it more than the Manchester City defenders. And Ivan Toney is onside. He gets away from his marker. And he just gets that little half a yard. And it's such a very, very acute header. He's got to be so clever with this, because you can head it. If you head it with power, it's going to go over the top of the crossbar. It might have taken a little deflection as well, but it just loops over the top of Ederson, who's been a little bit shaky again at the beginning of this game. I'm wondering if Ivan Toney's actually got the last touch on that one, Sam, but they won't care. What a start to the game for Brentford.
Brentford lead Manchester City by 1-0. And Brentford are unbeaten in all 15 Premier League games when they have scored first since promotion in 2021. Manchester City have work to do. And Ivan Toney ran over towards the near corner with his fingers in his ears, as if to say, stop the noise, stop talking about me, I do my talking on the pitch. Well, he has. That's his 8th goal in 10 games.
Yeah, and as you said, Sam, well deserved. What a start to the game. They've come out, they've been positive, left and right hand side, they've made 2v1 situations, they've counter-attacked really well. Certainly Ivan Toney, the battles, he's won his battles, and he wanted to win that one more than the Manchester City defence, and he got on the end of it. And Ederson, for me, was kind of in no man's land. He was wanting to come and try and clear his lines. He was never going to get there, and Ivan Toney was brave. The challenge didn't come from the goalkeeper. That little loop over the top of Ederson, it's a superb finish. And what a reaction from that disappointment of the phone call from Gareth Southgate.
That's the way that Thomas Frank would have wanted Ivan Toney to respond, and he has responded in the perfect manner for Brentford. They lead by 1-0 away at the Etihad Stadium. The last team to win here were Tottenham in the league back in February. Down the left it goes with Akanji striding forward and joining the Manchester City attack. There'll be a bit more urgency now You wonder whether sometimes you can score a little bit too early when you play the big boys like this, because you sting them into action. And De Bruyne in towards Haaland, a little flick as it comes through past Haaland, then on to Foden, and it scoots past the right-hand upright and goes behind and away for a goal kick away to our right-hand side. Is that a thing? Can you score too early against some of the big boys?
Well, I'm trying to think of the sides who've done that at the Etihad Stadium. Crystal Palace springs straight to mind with Wilfred Zaha, and that was an early goal. But what that did then was it made Manchester City think of how they were going to break Crystal Palace down, who came with a nice tight line at the back and eventually got their second goal. So they get frustrated in games, Sam, and I'm just looking at Pep Guardiola. He's waving his arms around. He's obviously not happy with what he can see. I'm wondering whether he's going to change the system up just a little bit to try and get in behind this Brentford back line. But Erling Haaland, there's been a couple of scares. Kevin De Bruyne has picked up the ball and he's found Erling Haaland on a couple of occasions, but it has to be a wonder header from Erling Haaland, the pullback from the back stick. But other than that, he's a little bit isolated at the moment. It's probably, I'm going to eat my own words in a minute, because it just takes a split second for him to get in behind. But that's what they've got to try and do, is get Haaland involved in the game a little bit more.
Well, by the time that the clock ticks over to 21 minutes here, and we're not too far away from that now, in the Crystal Palace game, the Eagles were 2-0 up against Manchester City and still lost 4-2 in that match back at the end of August. So Brentford won't be resting on their laurels, that is for sure. They've got defending to do and they know it. It's Talksport and we're live at the Etihad Stadium, where it's Manchester City 0, Brentford 1. Ivan Toney, who has been the spearhead of this Brentford attack since promotion, scoring the goal. So far this season he has managed 10 goals in all competitions, and that is his latest. Here is John Stones out towards the right hand side, coming back in field towards the left, and it's collected by Laporte. City have had 68% of the possession, 4 shots already but none on target. Brentford have already had 3 on target in the game. Stones nudging it down the right touchline, looking for Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva tries to take on Rico Henry. Henry pushes him off the ball. It goes back to the left, and then Henry gives it to Ben Mee, who will clear out towards this near side. Jensen has taken it out of play. It's going to be a throw into Manchester City midway inside the Brentford half. And Brentford quite happy to disrupt and delay here and take as much time as possible to get the ball back to Manchester City, who have thrown it in and given it to Akanji. Back to the right touchline. Now it's with John Stones of Manchester City in England. Prevented from travelling further down that touchline, so he goes back to Akanji, who goes square into the centre circle. Just a nudge inside the Brentford half, onto Laporte, forward down the left, where it's collected by Foden. Low ball into the box, easily dealt with by Vitaly Janelt, and it's out on the far side and away for a Manchester City throw.
They're going to have to come up with some magic, Sam, to break down Brentford, because every time they lose the ball, they're getting everybody behind it. They're making it difficult for Man City to break them down. But what about that defender from Rico Henry with Bernardo Silva in a 1v1 situation? He stood his ground, he waited for the ball to move, he waited for the movement of the player, shoved Bernardo Silva to the ground. You could hear the Manchester City supporters going absolutely crazy, but that is top class 1v1 defending.
Best left full-back in a red and white striped shirt since Mickey Gray at Sunderland.
I think there's probably been a few more.
Ball sent into the box, headed away by Ethan Pinnock for Brentford. Manchester City on the attack again. Stones gets hold of it. He's seen a lot of the ball in the opening exchanges here. Sends it round the corner for Bernardo Silva, then back to halfway, and Akanji, and they look to switch the ball to the other side, Manchester City, and change the angle of their attack. Laporte striding forward, lovely ball through to Foden. Foden gets it onto a right foot, and it comes crashing out to Rodri, who strikes as it pops up on the edge of the penalty area, and he does strike it over the top of the crossbar into the Brentford fans away to our right, of which there is a sliver that start in the bottom tier and go up step by step up into the gods. And it's away for a goal kick. It's 1-0 to Brentford, live on Talksport. An accusation of handball against Vitaly Janelt. His arm was out. It did come out as he turned, struck him inside the penalty area. Phil Foden was claiming a handball. I will say that over the course of this year, we have seen those given.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it looks like it hasn't even gone to VAR, Sam, either. So it's a one that they've got away with Brentford. But at the moment, Manchester City's opportunities seem to be all coming from outside of the 18-yard box. I'm not saying they can't score goals from outside of the box, but it's testament to the way that Brentford have set up, the way they've approached this game at the beginning of the first half. Well, we're halfway through that now, and they've came with the positivity of, we are going to take the game to Man City. When we win the ball back ourselves, we're going to show them what we can actually do.
Well, they do play to their strengths. Sometimes that can mean them going direct and long. I'm sure they're prepared to be dominated in terms of possession today, but they have had a threat in the opening exchanges. They've looked the more likely to score. They've done that. They're on the scoreboard. Now they've got something to protect. And remember, they haven't won away from home all season. Stones onto De Bruyne. De Bruyne quickly fires it left. Cancelo joining the attack far side. He's got grass to run into. He overhits the ball to Foden, and that should be easy for Matthias Jorgensen, nicknamed Zanka, to get away. Or he's given it straight back to Cancelo, though, and Cancelo's now retrieved it in a better position than he was when he passed it. He has it left side of the area, moves to the box and then shuffles onto his right foot, comes infield, needs an outlet. It's provided by Rodri. Rodri now at the base of the midfield, midway inside the Brentford half, and then all the way back to the halfway line. Manchester City patient in their build-up. Still 1-0 to Brentford, and we've played just over 24 minutes. Haaland into Foden, back to Foden again, and then he tries to strike. It dribbles through the penalty area, comes out the other side. Rico Henry takes no chances, puts it out. It's away for a throw-in.
Well, that move all came down from Jorgensen, trying to clear his lines, but trying to be clever in keeping the ball in play. Just get your laces through it, put it into Rose Ed, then everybody can get back into their positions and make it difficult for Man City to break you down again. Then 25, 30 passes later, Phil Foden's on the edge of the box yet again with his left foot and gets his shot away.
De Bruyne, shirt untucked to the waist, cheeks bright red and puffing as he charges up to halfway, plays it out to the left flank, and Foden, who returns it into Gundogan. Gundogan couldn't get it under control first time, and that allowed Ethan Pinnock to come across and manage to just nudge it back for a clearance out on the far side, and it's away for another Manchester City throw. 26 gone. Talksport 1-0 Brentford. In by De Bruyne, looking for Haaland, away by Pinnock. And actually Haaland hasn't seen much of the ball at all in the opening 25 minutes, Vicky.
But it's normal. And he's just given the ball away.
Bernardo Silva has pinched it down the right side. He's trying to take on Rico Henry. He plays it up against his arms. The referee is going to stop the play here. Is he going to give a free kick on the edge of the penalty area? I think he is. Now, the Manchester City fans think that was inside the box. Well, it will be checked by VAR for a matter of geography. He's given it now, so there'll have to be a big overturn for this not to be a foul. I think it's going to be a penalty. I think his arms were inside the box.
He's in the area, Sam. It looks like his feet are outside of the box, but it's fantastic play. A mistake from Brentford.
It's tight. The line belongs to the officials, so if it's on the line, it can be given as a penalty. I think that's going to be given as a penalty. Yeah. Because he's given the handball, and it looks like a handball. The proximity is very close, by the way. The nudge from Bernardo Silva is quite close to him, and in some circumstances you might say it's a bit too close, but the arm did come out. I think because the line belongs to the officials, that is going to be considered in the penalty box.
I'm with you on this, Sam. I think you can see Henry's body. Look, his feet are outside of the penalty area, but his body and his arm are leaning in towards it. Oh, wow. That's two they've got away with.
I mean, the referee is pointed for a free kick. Looking at the replays, I mean, you might say that it's not conclusive, and because you don't have the VAR mapping like you would do for offsides, because it's lateral, not vertical, then I suppose you can't map them. They've given it outside. I tell you what, there'll be a few debates about that a little bit later on, I think.
Oh, well, there's going to be lines drawn from every corner of this football stadium, but that is now two where Brentford have been really fortunate. Well, that can't get any closer to being a penalty or a free kick, just outside of the 18-yard box.
Right, here's the free kick then instead, no penalty. De Bruyne right on the angle of the box by the right side. He delivers it towards the far post. There's a push inside the area, and then Akanji says that that's a handball for a head against Onyeka. Picked up by Bernardo Silva, who skips past three challenges beautifully, plays it infield to Rodri, who tries to feed Erling Haaland. It comes out to the right side. De Bruyne's going to get there. He holds on to it, goes past the defender, goes down. Referee says goal kick. Now he's complaining he was fouled. Erling Haaland runs over and screams in the face of the official. The official stops, waits, puts his hand to his ear, indicating he's speaking to his VAR, tells the players to go away. De Bruyne now wants a penalty. There's been 4 penalty shouts in the last 3 minutes.
Well, Sam, if VAR does its job right here, they have to look at 3 incidences. The last one being Kevin De Bruyne, which I'm not quite sure would have been a penalty. But Erling Haaland, as the corner comes, or the free kick comes into the box, is dragged to ground. They're holding on to his arm. It's Ben Mee. And then there's a handball as Brentford try to clear their lines out of the 18-yard box. Now, how many times can they get fortunate, Brentford? Because
I think that they're checking a possible penalty now for Rico Henry on De Bruyne, and again they've looked at it and said no penalty.
No, and Pep Guardiola is now looking. I mean, I don't know if he's asking the same question as what we're talking about, Sam, about the VAR. Now, Kevin De Bruyne, you can see Rico Henry, he tries to run on the inside of him. Now he just makes himself bigger, not by putting his arms out, but he makes himself bigger. Of course you're going to do that as a defender. But the Erling Haaland one with Ben Mee, as he grabs his arm and pulls him down to the ground from the free kick, is definitely worth having another look.
Well, on any other day, Manchester City would have had 3 penalties.
Yeah.
And no wonder Pep Guardiola is not entirely happy down on the touchline in front of us. Half an hour gone. It's Talksport. We still await the first Manchester City shot on target. Here is Akanji. To Stones, and then across to Aymeric Laporte. Laporte steps a couple of paces towards his left and shuffles the ball into the path of Cancelo. Cancelo back to Laporte, who always wears a light blue body armour under his short sleeve shirt. So is Akanji doing that. Not chilly at all, by the way, in Manchester today. Mickey and I now lighter coats, although you've got your bigger one on.
It's all loose. Yeah. It's all loose.
It's all loose, though. Yeah, very loose today.
Bit like my pockets.
and Reshbin's after she spent all that money on the posh snacks that she bought us earlier on.
Yeah, chocolate will be melting.
Yeah. Because we're all going away, Reshbin bought us posh snacks today. Here is Laporte. Infield to Akanji. Akanji takes a couple of strides through the centre circle and lays it off towards Laporte. Laporte looks up and travels down the left touchline and then nudges it on and then comes back instead and tries to weave himself into a tight position in the left flank and then gives it to Cancelo, whose delivery is high towards the far post, looking for Bernardo Silva. It's flicked behind by Henry. It's out for a corner.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Cancelo was actually aiming for the smallest man on the pitch there and Bernardo Silva at the back stick, but this is what Man City have to do. They have to start taking some risks, which we know they can do, to get themselves back on level terms, which I'm sure Pep wants to do before half-time.
The assistant on this near side, Eddie Smart, is telling the Brentford players to get further away from the corner flag as they send the ball into the centre, flicked on by Haaland, back to Gundogan. Gundogan left side of the area, travels to the byline, plays it against the defender, then shoots at the second attempt as it repels off Jorgensen, and it goes straight down the throat of the goalkeeper.
Yeah, good goalkeeping there, David Raya. Got down to ground, very sharpish there. Good play from Gundogan. He got a second bite at the cherry as he just fires that across the 6-yard area. I mean, look, he gets there, he should get there. But Man City are rattled. I've not seen this for a long time.
Man City 0, Brentford 1 on Talksport with Car Finance 24/7. Search Car Finance 24/7 today. Brentford want a free kick over on the far side. They're not going to get it. City bring it clear. Brian Mbermo is screaming at Nick Greenhalgh, the official on the far side. Collected by Cancelo, chips it forward into Gundogan. Gundogan nudged it back into central midfield and Rodri. He was challenged by Onyeka, but he rode that challenge. Cancelo comes in field. Pep Guardiola furious he didn't release it down the middle. It's out towards De Bruyne, right side, being engaged by Jensen and Rico Henry, but he's twirled away from both of them. Played it into Bernardo Silva, and now Bernardo Silva in the right wing position gets it back to Kevin De Bruyne, who sets it up, plays it back to Bernardo Silva, cuts infield on his left foot, travels infield, plays it to John Stones, who scoops it leaning backwards towards goal. It rises into the air, drops on the roof of the net, and the groan from the Etihad faithful show what they thought of that final flourish at the end of what was a really good move from Manchester City.
Yeah, wrong player, wrong place at the wrong time after a great move down the right-hand side by De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva. It was John Stones. He was leaning back. He never really got himself set to take that shot on. He should have been taking a touch and maybe trying to find one of his teammates to keep that move going. But you can just sense that they can go through the gears at any time, Manchester City, but at the moment they're just a little bit frustrated that they find themselves a goal behind. But that's taken nothing away from the way Brentford have started this game. They've been fantastic.
Jensen down the left touchline, away by Stones. Stones picks it up in the right fullback position, gives it to Rodri. In field it goes to Akanji. Akanji turns, runs through the middle and plays it back to Rodri once again. And Rodri's gone for the Luca Toro and Kieran Tierney shirt tucked in at the waist of the shorts thing now, hasn't he? A bit of 80s sartorial elegance. Here is Stones into the penalty area, away by Ethan Pinnock, and then cleared as far as De Bruyne, who heads it back in towards the edge of the D. Comes out and cleared away, and it's a poor header by Stones, which is picked up by Mbeumo, and now Brentford are racing away. They've got Onyeka Antony ahead of Mbeumo, who plays it down the right into Onyeka, looks for the return. Laporte comes across, a little nudge from Mbeumo, but Laporte kept it in.
Good defending, Aymeric Laporte, using his strength, reading the situation. Rodri just starting to dictate a few things in that midfield area now, Sam, isn't he? You just talked about him having his shirt tucked in now, but I think the more he's involved in the game, I think the more Man City feel in control.
Bernardo Silva down the right for the home team, Manchester City, who trail by a goal to nil. He swings the ball out towards the far edge of the Brentford penalty area. Cancelo sends a cross into the box, which is dealt with by me, and then Henry manages to get it away. And it's up over the halfway line and collected eventually by Ederson. And then it's with Manuel Akanji once again, who seems to have settled in rather seamlessly. Takes a couple of steps forward over the halfway line, plays it towards the left. And now it's collected by Aymeric Laporte. 10 minutes to go before half-time. City behind here to Brentford. It's with Gundogan. Wide on the left. The ball is at the feet of Cancelo. And then it's back infield to Akanji. Pep Guardiola having a quick word with the fourth official, who is Darren Bond today, and I may be asking him a question. What is a penalty? Here is Cancelo over on the far side, chesting the ball down. Offside is up. Upside flag is up over on the far side. It's currently Manchester City 0, Brentford 1, and for the latest odds you can head to Betfair, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage. Right now you can get City to go on and win the game 11-20, that's 20-11 on. They're still massive favourites to win the game. Brentford 15-4, drawn 29-10. It's all thanks to Betfair 18+. BeGambleAware.org. This is Talksport. How much of Manchester City's half-time team talk can be them moaning and grieving about the fact they didn't get their penalties, and how much will it have to be refocusing how they nullify the counter-attack threat from Brentford and prizing open this stubborn backline?
Well, I don't think Pep will let them settle for complaining about not winning a penalty in the first half. I think that's all left down to the manager, depending on how the game finishes, whether they get something out of the game or whether they lose the game. But they've got to settle themselves down a little bit. Erling Haaland just making a foul there. He's been given a yellow card. And I think that boils down to a little bit of frustration, Sam. You just mentioned there before, look, and I said it happens quite a lot. He hasn't been involved in the game as much as he would like to have been involved, but there's an arm flaying across. And I think it's the right decision to give him a yellow card. I think that's all it is. But it's not just Haaland. I think he can sense it in a few of their players. They're a little bit shell-shocked because I don't think they expected Brentford to come to the Etihad Stadium and play the way they've played so far.
Haaland, who did get his 18th Premier League goal on his last outing for Manchester City, equalling the number of Premier League goals that his dad scored just in 169 fewer appearances.
A different type of player.
A different type of player. He's a different type of player to any other player, isn't he? Let's be honest. He's not similar to anything we've seen before. And he hasn't yet made a mark in this game. That doesn't mean he won't. Thomas Frank and his team at the moment leading by a goal to nil, courtesy of a header from Ivan Toney, which looped over the top of Ederson. Ederson actually couldn't reach the looping ball off the top of the man who was left off the England squad list. And it's 1-0 to the visitors, but Manchester City can always respond and always seem to find a way of responding, and they're coming up over the halfway line now with Cancelo, switching the play from the middle out to the right, and De Bruyne then onto the far right side. Bernardo Silva, De Bruyne, and then against Ben Mee, who followed him out really well actually. It's been pretty solid defending from Brentford all the way through, and they've conceded another corner. Yeah,
very good defending though for Brentford, staying with runners. You sometimes see midfield players switching off when they do that quick give and go. De Bruyne putting the ball into the area.
De Bruyne's delivery comes off Stones, bounces down, there's hands everywhere, arms everywhere, bodies everywhere. It's pinballing round, but it's dropped to the right side of the area, and Tony is travelling away with it. He smacked it up towards the halfway line, and then it's headed down by Cancelo, and Gundogan will come again. 1-0 to Brentford. 39 on the clock at the Etihad Stadium. An overcast day here in Manchester, but the temperature pretty mild, and Manchester City need to warm up a little bit, especially in front of goal. Go back and have a look at their form recently, Mickey. They scored twice against Chelsea midweek, but it took them a while to break down Chelsea. They scored twice against Fulham, but they needed a late penalty to do that. Sevilla, slightly different in the Champions League because a lot of changes in that match. Went to Leicester, only won by the Kevin De Bruyne free kick. Drew 0-0 with Dortmund, lost at Liverpool in the Premier League not long before that. It has been an interesting month. It's certainly not been perfect.
No, absolutely not. A bit of brilliance in that Leicester game, as you mentioned before, from Kevin De Bruyne, with some of the performances in the final third, and albeit they've made changes. No, Alvarez has came into the team and done ever so well when he's been called upon, but a couple of younger players have been given a chance in games also.
De Bruyne striding forward now. He's released Foden. Foden's onside. He's into the penalty. Left-footed shot, saved down low by David Ray, and then put behind by Jorgensen and out for a corner kick. Brilliant quick flash of a break, picked up in midfield by Silva into Kevin De Bruyne, who released Phil Foden down the left channel and into the box. He strode into the area, struck a shot firmly, and it was saved well by the Spanish goalkeeper. Corner kick far side, taken by Foden into the near post, headed away by Vitaly Janel. Picked up by Mbeumo right side in the fullback position. He's got nowhere to go really. He's being harassed by Foden, and he clears it away. Collected by De Bruyne. Back in field to Akanji. Loads queuing up inside the area. Akanji delays, waits, hits it against the defender. And there's a groan of frustration. It's not the player you really wanted in that position.
No, and you could tell he didn't want to play that ball in with his left foot. He wasn't comfortable enough to do it. But Manchester City are now, there's another great ball into the area, but just that ball from when Phil Foden got his strike away, in that midfield area, there was no Brentford player within 15 yards of Kevin De Bruyne. He cannot be afforded that amount of space, because that's when they catch you out, that's when they pounce, they get on their bikes, they use their pace, and the goals normally come. Brilliant strike, another good save from Raya in that Brentford goal. But you have got to stay switched on. You're winning the game, try and see it out until half time, and then you can readdress what you need to have a look at in the second 45 minutes.
Manchester City beat Chelsea in midweek. They took until the second half to break open Graham Potter's side. They did deserve the win, but Chelsea did have a couple of chances through Lewis Hall and Christian Pulisic to cause damage prior to Riyad Mahrez and Julian Alvarez taking the game away from the home team. Brentford have taken their chances and they're trying to create another one now. Raya with a long ball into the box. It's grabbed by Ederson. Played out brilliantly by Ederson up towards De Bruyne. De Bruyne's now operating in the other half and he's moving forward. He's swished the ball to Gundogan. There's space out wide for Foden, who's now on the edge of the box. Delivers the cross in towards Haaland and he rises, but it's too high. Comes back out to the near side. De Bruyne into the centre. Haaland actually gone up, tried to win the header, landed on his backside, didn't get up quick enough. De Bruyne put another ball in. He could have been there to head that one in.
Yeah, never reacted, did he? The first, but what a pass out from Ederson, the goalkeeper. It's ridiculous. On the half volley, out to the right hand side to Kevin De Bruyne, who then picks out Gundogan. It's a great ball into the area, and that leap from Erling Haaland that we know he's got, he just couldn't quite get high enough. But then the reaction, you're right, from Kevin De Bruyne putting the ball back into the box. You've got to get yourself back on your feet. You've got to be a part of it as a centre forward, and he knows that better than many, or better than most, that it's not out, the ball's still in play.
Well, Manchester City are never to be written off, but they are trailing here just before half time, and I think Thomas Frank will be delighted if his team can just manage this situation to the break. Ball sent long by David Raya out towards the right side. Onyeka gets hold of it. It's played back to Jorgensen, who taps it to Ruoslav, whose ball towards the far post is all juggled with by Edison. Almost lost it under pressure from Mbeumo, and it's cleared away out towards the far side. 1-0.
Well, Edison, again, I mean, he didn't look really confident coming out, albeit it was at a very difficult height. And Mbeumo made it really difficult for him. He had to kind of reach his arms around the side of him, but you normally expect him just to pick that ball out of the sky, and it just didn't happen. But Brentford have done a very good thing this first half, Sam. They've went from left to right on half a dozen occasions.
Oh dear.
Yeah, poor
Emerick Laporte from the edge of the area, blasting the ball into the Asda car park behind the Etihad Stadium. By the way, a little bit later on today, Adrian Durham brings you live commentary of Tottenham against Leeds. He's going to be at West Ham versus Leicester and all the goals as they go in. Ian Danter and Perry Groves will be bringing you the commentary of that game. And then from 5:30 today, we'll have the game day phone-in with Gabby Agbonlahor and Jamie O'Hara. 7:45, Wolves against Arsenal. Faker Others will be there for that game. Clive and Chris Awelamo will bring you live commentary. Sunday tomorrow, 12:30. We've got Steve Hoppersall and Mickey Gray bringing you Burnley against Blackburn. That's tomorrow morning, so Mickey unfortunately can't enjoy the hospitality of the Manchester Christmas markets when we finished here today.
I mean, yet again, Burnley's just having another opportunity there.
Brentford. Burnley's tomorrow.
Yeah, just because you talked about it just then. Sorry, Brentford, yeah. And Mbeumo getting in behind the two centre-halves of Man City. Too much, too easy.
Stones driving forward from the harder midfield to De Bruyne. A right-footed cross into the box. It's over the head of everybody. It's good defending by Pinnock, who guides the ball out to the left-hand side. 3 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. We're just about to step into that now. The 45 minutes is up. The board has gone up from the official. Foden has it, 1-0 to Brentford here at the Etihad. It's Rodri onto De Bruyne. De Bruyne curls the ball against the back of Jensen. Good defending again. They're keeping City at bay. Can they last the half time? Laporte, Gundogan. Left side is Cancelo. Out goes Ruoslav to engage with him. He checks down the left side, then comes back in field to Foden, who's inside the box, trapped by 3 red and white candy striped shirts. Back to Laporte. Ball into the box, looking for Haaland. Flicked away. Comes to Rico Henry. Looks like a handball. Turns and fires it out quickly. And just looks down to the ground and says it was nothing to do with me, Gun. It is a corner.
I mean, I don't think that one was a penalty, although it did come off Rico Henry's hip and his arm at the same time, but his arms were at his side. You could hear a big shout from the Man City supporters.
De Bruyne to take the corner kick, right side, delivers it in towards the near post. It misses everybody, comes back out to Foden! Screamer into the top corner in stoppage time at the end of the first half. The corner kick went right the way through the 18-yard box. Stones went up, Haaland went up, it missed them all. It came through to Phil Foden, and with one swish of his left boot, it rocketed into the far corner, and Manchester City are now on level terms. And it's an England hopeful who has registered at the Etihad. They've done it the Mancunian way in the end. It's Manchester City 1, Brentford 1.
Well, what a strike, Phil Foden. I mean, that takes so much concentration. His eyes are on the ball. He gets his laces through it, and he just half volleys it and fires it into the roof of the net. It's a brilliant, brilliant time to score a goal, certainly from Manchester City's perspective, but Thomas Frank will be absolutely devastated.
That's a terrific finish from Phil Foden, a player who this season so far has already been on the score sheet more often than not. That's his 8th goal of the campaign. Great finish, and the kind of confidence boosting finish that Gareth Southgate will be smiling about. Thomas Frank knows that his team have let in a goal at a crucial time psychologically in the first of 3 added minutes at the end of the first half, a first half where Brentford have applied themselves brilliantly, but it's very difficult to keep this lot out.
It is. You just need that one moment.
Cancelo into the box, looking to try and find Haaland. It's over his head. De Bruyne gets it, and then Stones weaves it back in, headed away and down by Jorgensen. It goes towards the halfway line, and City are putting the pressure on again as we reach the latter stages of this first half. We have played that 48 minutes that have been allotted in this first 45 minutes by the referee. Play down the left, it goes to Foden. Foden back into Laporte. Laporte not moving at any real speed, and this is going to be the last action of the first half. Gundogan back to Rodri, out to De Bruyne, and then Stones. Brentford, I think, pretty happy for Stones to have it, and especially when he plays a ball like that, goes straight out of play. That's the last action of the first half. Well, there could have been 4 penalties in that first 45 minutes. There wasn't any, but they did get a little bit of punishment, Manchester City, when Ivan Toney scored the opening goal after just 16 minutes. A good start from Brentford, who certainly caused a real threat to that City backline and didn't allow them to settle. City did come back into it towards the end of the first half, but it was right at the very end of that first half that they equalised. Remember, Manchester City had the chance to put pressure on Arsenal, who are playing later today, but things certainly didn't go according to plan in that first half. There will be a penalty analysis, I'm sure, a debrief at half-time from Mickey Gray and Reshmin Chowdhury, but at the break it's Manchester City 1, Brentford 1.
Sam Matterface, thank you very much. City players heading down the tunnel. A lot of the City fans heading over to get their half-time snacks. And what a first half it has been. Mickey Gray, it looked as though that talk about all eyes being on the World Cup, that some of the players may have switched off, may have sort of had their focus elsewhere across the desert, and that they were perhaps a little bit surprised by Brentford. And that's probably true a little bit, Mickey Gray.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the first 25 to 30 minutes, it was that way, wasn't it, Reshman? I mean, we look at the way that Manchester City started the game. They were going through the motions. I think they were kind of shocked at the way that Brentford had turned round and maybe took the game to Man City, which was so refreshing to see, certainly down this left-hand side with Rico Henry. And then I think the goal itself shook everybody in this stadium because nobody expected it, but it was, well, fully deserved at the time. Ivan Toney was braver than everybody else. The winner, the header from Ben Mee, and then the second one after that from Toney, the loop over Edison's head, and then we're like, right, okay, game on. And it's taken Man City till the 46th minute to get themselves back on level terms. I think they've had 2 shots on target. It's just finding it so difficult to break down. We've had those penalty decisions. VAR's got involved in the first half, which has been a bit of a surprise that we haven't had penalties. But look, they've got more cameras than me. They've got more angles than us. So let's hope that they've given the right decisions. And Man City haven't been given the penalty. But how close can you become to getting a penalty? It was incredible, wasn't it?
It's been lively, to say the least. I mean, it really has. Look, Man City have 74% of possession at the end of that half. So, Brentford having to work really, really hard off the ball. And as you say, they were doing that in the early stages of this game. But Man City did come back. What a peach of a strike, peach of a half volley there from Phil Foden. But what about those penalty attempts? The first one, Bernardo Silva's we're on Rico Henry. Rico Henry's arms up, but it was deemed that it happened outside of the box, and it really was just teetering on the edge, wasn't it?
It couldn't get any closer. I mean, you could see that Rico Henry, that his feet were outside of the 18-yard area. But whereas Bernardo Silva's kind of flicked the ball up in towards the 18-yard box, his body was kind of moving in towards it. Now, it looked from the angle that we could see in the screens in front of us that he was inside of the penalty area. So we were waiting for the referee to point to the spot. Now, he's obviously had a word with VAR. They've said it's outside of the 18-yard box and the line itself, which obviously comes into play. So, again, let's hope, fingers crossed, that they've got the decision right. I'm sure it's going to be a talking point throughout the whole of the day and as this game continues. But then there was a couple of handball shouts. Erling Haaland's being dragged to the ground. Yeah. So there was a few more incidents after that. But I think all in all, those would have been soft penalties, which is a word that gets used quite a lot. And I think they've actually got every single one of them spot on. And it's what Brentford deserved. Yeah, because they were absolutely class in that first half.
At that point, deserved. Yeah, as you say, there's a shove on Haaland by Ben Mee, Rico Henry as well, involved in that sort of foul on Kevin De Bruyne as well. And you think that you concede that all of those were right decisions, because they happened within 2 minutes of each other, so
Yeah.
there was a lot of noise. Suddenly the Etihad actually erupted, because up until that point it was the Brentford fans who were making all the noise. As soon as those two incidents happened in such a short space of time and VAR was called into action, that was when the crowd here were called into action. But in your mind, Mickey, they were both the right decisions.
Yeah, I mean, the Erling Haaland one has Ben Mee just had a little tug on his arm. I think we see that every single week. So as I mentioned that word before, soft, it would have been a soft penalty. But Man City finding themselves a goal behind at that time, you can understand why the crowd are trying to get them back on level terms. But I think when we look at it and we analyse everything at the end of the game, I think they probably got every one of them right.
Okay. What a first half it has been. City did manage to get back on level terms then. It's 1-1 here at the Etihad at half-time. Can Manchester City pull any more goals back and take themselves to the top of the table until Arsenal play later? Or will Brentford give them a hard time in that second half? It's all coming up after this.
Game day exclusive on Talksport with Now Sports. Stream all the Sky Sports action like Newcastle versus Chelsea live today for $11.99. No contract. Search Now Sports. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
Hello, my friend. Life comes at you fast, so make time for you time with Just Eat. Here for early times, lunch times, late times, strange times. The perfect times for the McDonald's sausage and egg McMuffins, Leon Love Burgers, and German Doner kebabs. Plus more from Costa Coffee, Subway, and Papa John's. So order now, later, in a bit, whenever. We got it.
Did somebody say Just Eat?
Product subject to availability and restaurant opening and serving times. Participating stores only. See justeat.co.uk for details.
For Betfair, betting is supposed to be fun. A way to play where you're in control. And to help you make the right choice and stay in control, Betfair has created some online tools. They're practical, so you can set yourself a deposit limit or a loss limit, get reminders after a certain amount of time playing with Gaming Time Check, and take breaks with a timeout, so your betting stays fun. To try them out, go to safergambling.betfair.com.
18 plus begambleaware.org.
For all the top Premier League analysis, listen to The Game, the Premier Football podcast from The Times. Every Monday and Thursday, join Hugh Woozencroft and a host of big-name guests for in-depth reaction and opinion on the latest action and the biggest issues in the world of football.
It's a massive goal!
Hear previews of all the upcoming matches and provocative and compelling opinions from some of the finest football writers from The Times and The Sunday Times.
Lovely bit of football!
Listen to The Game on the free Times Radio app or wherever you find your podcasts.
You what? You what? You what? You what? You what? You're not watching the big footy games in a pub and grill fan zone at Village Hotels? Who are ya? Premier League and big games on giant screens, stadium seats, great lineup of beers, and dirty burgers and bar snacks to tackle. Plus, win big game tickets, beer for a year, and other great prizes. Visit villagehotels.com/Talksport. Terms and conditions apply. 18 plus. Always drink responsibly. Who are ya?
What does Asahi Super Dry taste like? Crisp, refreshing, and always super dry. A taste as unexpected and surprising as modern Japan. That's right, Japan's #1 beer. Asahi Super Dry, beyond expected. Go to asahisuperdry.com to verify. Enjoy responsibly. Visit drinkaware.co.uk to find out more.
We got it at Selco. Selco, it's where the trade go.
At Selco Builders Warehouse, we've got real deals on a wide range of trade quality building products. This month, we've got a 25-kilogram bag of British Gypsum Fast-Set Finished Plaster for only £8.25 ex-VAT. Now that's a real deal. Find even more real deals at Selco Builders Warehouse and online at selcobw.com.
We got it at Selco. Selco, it's where the trade go.
That charged at 20%.
We all fantasize about our perfect home. Watching the big game, cozied up in the snug.
Another 7-0 win.
Balmy summer nights with the kids playing on the lawn.
We're playing real-life football.
But come on, this isn't real. Listen, if you're serious about making your fantasy a reality, find out what your home is worth instantly with a free online valuation estimate. Get real about moving. Get on the market. Most common time to obtain an online quote between 1st of June 2021 and 30th of September 2021 was under 3 minutes. Excludes Northern Ireland.
Game day exclusive on Talksport with Car Finance 24/7. Get your finance sorted first, then choose your car. Search Car Finance 24/7 today.
The games, the goals, and the glory.
Oh, and he's found the net!
Game day.
Brilliant strike!
Live football coverage that's beyond compare. Game day exclusive.
On Talksport.
Hello, good afternoon. You're listening to Game Day Exclusive live from the Etihad with me, Reshmin Chowdhury. I'm alongside Sam Matterface and Mickey Gray in commentary. It is a big day of Premier League action, the final weekend before the World Cup kicks off next week. Of course, we'll have wall-to-wall coverage across the Talksport network for you for that, live from Qatar. Here this Saturday, though, we've got 3 p.m. Spurs against Leeds, 7:45 it's Wolves against league leaders Arsenal. But right now, here at the Etihad, we're at half-time between Manchester City and Brentford. It is City 1, Brentford 1. Over on Talksport 2, though, right now, it's Ireland 12, Fiji 7 in the Autumn Nations series. That is followed by England against Japan at 3:15, and at 5:30 it is Wales against Argentina. But let's stick to the football here on Talksport 1 for now, though. Let's get the latest from Betfair, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage.
Game day on Talksport with Betfair. Get a hand from Betfair's popular bet builder and easily add our fan favourite football selections to your bet slip. Terms and conditions apply. See support.betfair.com. 18+ for gambleware.org.
Sam Rossbottom at Betfair. Wow, what a first half.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant first half of football. Hopefully...
neutral.
yeah, of course, yeah. Hopefully we do see Phil Foden do that quite a few times for England in the World Cup. You can back him to win the Golden Boot at 40-1 over on the sportsbook at the minute. And like I said, fingers crossed he does that quite a few times for England. Looking at this game as things stand, Manchester City really fancied to win this one. They are as short as 2-7 now over on the sportsbook after getting that goal back. The draw currently 7-2. And Brentford, who had a cracking first half, didn't they? They looked really offensive. They sort of caught City out a little bit, didn't they? They're 14-1 to win the game. And looking at some of the goal scorers markets, Erling Haaland looks a little bit frustrated, didn't he? He's had a couple of chances, he's snatched at a couple. He's 2-1 to get the next goal, or 5-6 to score at any point in the second half. Should be a good one.
Yeah, definitely will be. I'm sure of it, sitting here today and what we've seen so far in those opening exchanges in those first 45 minutes. What about the charity bet then? We've got Haaland to score, Foden to score, which has happened. Is that going to get booked?
Yeah, we certainly do. So we've combined all those three selections into one bet with the bet builder over on the sportsbook. We've got one of them in already with Phil Foden to score. We just need Haaland to score and Zanka to get a yellow card. We backed that at around 15-1 before the game, so our £50 charity stake will return £800 if Zanka's shown a card and Haaland gets on the goal sheet at the second 45. Fingers crossed. You know what? I am certain about one thing, that the second 45 minutes will be full of action that'll keep you warm, Rashmin.
I'm sure there will be. No need to turn on my heated gilet. Probably shouldn't have brought it up, should I? Thank you very much, Sam Rossbottom, as always. That odds update is all thanks to Betfair. Returns accurate as of 10 minutes ago. For verification, see betfair.com. Over 18s only. Conditions apply. Go to begamblerware.org.
Game day on Talksport with Betfair. Get a hand from Betfair's popular bet builder and easily add our fan favourite football selections to your bet slip. Terms and conditions apply. See support.betfair.com. 18+ for gambleware.org.
As I said, it's a busy day of Premier League action here on Talksport. At 7:45, Wolves against Arsenal. Right now, it's Manchester City against Brentford. We're at half-time there. And at 3 o'clock following us, it is Spurs against Leeds. And there at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium for us is Perry Groves. You're on co-coms alongside Ian Danter. How are you doing, Perry?
Hey, Rashmin, how are you?
Yeah, very, very good. Not sure what to make of that game, though. It's two high-octane managers, certainly on the touchlines. What are you expecting for this game? I genuinely, as a Spurs fan, I think I'm at a loss. Look, and I don't want it to be a loss, but it's been a hard few weeks to watch Tottenham, put it that way.
Yeah, well, you know, you can get your half scarves, can't you, when you come into games? Spurs are the archetypal half and half team.
Yeah, they really are.
Because first half, they're always passive. They go out not to get beat, and they play risk-free football. And then second half, they invariably get a reaction from Antonio Conte. And I think here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, if Leeds score first, it could turn a little bit toxic here, because the way that Antonio Conte's teams play, you have to win the games, because they're not particularly easy on the eye. As I said, they play counter-attacking football. You know, they don't sort of get on the front foot. If you're winning games, Spurs fans haven't been moaning at all. But then you start losing games, especially at home. Then you start get a little bit of consternation, and as I say, this is going to be a real big opening first 20-25 minutes, especially for Spurs, because Leeds are coming here full of confidence, won their last 2 in the Premier League, got a real big win away at Liverpool, so that they will come and Leeds will be on the front foot.
Yeah, big win against Liverpool, entertaining win as well at home to Bournemouth. It's for Tottenham though, of course they come into this off the back of the Carling Cup defeat at Nottingham Forest, where Conte played a strong side, started with Harry Kane and Eric Dyer, and it just didn't work out. And as you say, the atmosphere could certainly turn toxic. As for Leeds, though, is this kind of not quite of a free hit, if you like, but I mean they know that they can come to the Spurs Stadium and cause a lot of problems.
Well, that's why I think Jesse Marshall wanted his team to be on the front foot, especially in that first 20-25 minutes. They'll try and close down, and what he's done is, even though they're still like the Red Arrows, basically, because when they're attacking, they come through all angles, but he's given them a little bit more of a structure, in the 4-2-3-1 system. They've got 3 players in Somerville, Rodrigo and Adams, who are in absolute top form. So, and Spurs players, they're scratching around for a little bit of form. And I just thought it was, I don't know if ironic is the word, but Antonio Conte's quotes in the paper today about Harry Kane looks tired, and Gareth Southgate's got to look after him. Well, that's like the dad, don't do as I say, do as I do. Because you think, well, you're the one who's been playing him. I think Harry Kane's played more minutes than any other player in Europe who's going to the World Cup. So,
madness.
So Antonio Conte, because Harry Kane is that good, then he has to keep playing him. Yeah. So I'm looking at these players today as well, the ones that are going to World Cup. And Mickey Gray said there about, Man City being a little bit tentative in the first half, because it's subconsciously players will think, if there's a 50-50, I don't want to get injured.
Yeah, indeed. No, you're absolutely right, Perry. Have a good one there at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Perry Groves and Ian Danter there for Spurs against Leeds at 3 p.m. Here, though, at the Etihad, Erling Haaland is kicking off the second half, so it's time to hand you back to our commentary team here. Mickey Gray, but first, Sam Matterface. 2,025
minutes Harry Kane has played so far this season. Is the most of the England squad, shortly followed by Jude Bellingham behind him. Both of those, I think, will be heavily involved in the campaign, which kicks off in just 8 days' time. And when England do kick off, you'll hear it live on Talksport. We're underway in the second half here at the Etihad Stadium, where Manchester City and Brentford are engaging in the last action of the Premier League before the World Cup break. It's 1-1 at half-time. Manchester City in light blue shirts, white shorts, attacking the goal away. To our left, it's the red and white candy stripes of Brentford and black shorts attacking the goal to our right. And the ball is with John Stones. No changes at half-time, although it looks as if Brentford are seriously thinking about making a couple. A few conversations ongoing on the benches and down the touchlines at the moment. We'll get to those in just a second, but here is De Bruyne, right side for Manchester City, flicking the ball into the box, looking for Foden, surrounded by 3 red and white shirts, heads it away, bounces 10 yards short of the 18-yard box for Rodri, and then back to Cancelo. It does take a bit of time for this stadium to refill after its half-time spate of feeding which goes on here at half-time. There's quite a lot of different places you can go out and get some nourishment, that is for sure.
Well, where we're sat, Sam, the Tunnel Club is kind of in between the halfway line.
And the Tunnel Club is the fancy area, isn't it? It's where all the big spenders go and sit.
And I think that's one of the reasons why it takes them so long to get back to the seat. They must miss so many goals as the season goes on when they come out for the second half.
Not missed anything so far in this game. Manchester City, who scored right with the last act of the first half, have the ball on halfway. They've got Ederson in goal, a back four of Stones, Akanji, Laporte and Cancelo, De Bruyne, Rodri and Gundogan through midfield, and then Silva, Erling Haaland, who's been booked but not scored, and Phil Foden, who has scored, going forward. And Foden is on the ball, trying to unpick a tightly wound Brentford defence. It certainly felt very tightly wound in that first half, and much of that first half, but they did concede another first half goals. Only Bournemouth have conceded more first half goals than Brentford. Here is Bernardo Silva trying to score a second half one. Shoots, ball comes back to him, takes it down brilliantly from the sky, then tries to shoot it away again. The break is on for Brentford, but they misplace a pass, and Foden is there to retrieve it for City, and they're keeping the ball inside Brentford territory at the beginning of this second period. Here is Laporte striding towards the edge of the visitors' 18-yard box. Foden, De Bruyne, a low ball in towards the near post, looking for Bernardo Silva. Foden trying to win it back again, comes back out as far as Stones after a half clearance from Ben Mee. Now it's with Cancelo, left side of the area, right-footed ball, deep towards the far post. Bernardo Silva with a header, looping it across the face of goal, and across comes Jorgensen just to nudge it behind and away for the first corner of the second half. Brentford have got Raya in goal, Pinnock, Zanka, Mee as the back three, Roeslav and Henry the wing backs, Onyeka, Jan Alton, Jensen in midfield, and Burmo and Tony up top.
Well, I was going to say there's no panic for Brentford to change things early on in the second half, and there really shouldn't have been, the way that they performed in the first 45 minutes, but they just can't get out of their own half at the moment. They're camped in their own 18-yard box.
Here is the corner. Foden will take it left-footed towards the penalty spot, headed away. Out as far as the edge of the penalty area. Haaland has gone down inside the box, clutching his head. There's another player down as well. I think it might be Aymeric Laporte who's gone down, who's taken a whack. And the referee has immediately called attention on for him as well. And he looks as if he is badly hurt. There is blood pouring from the top of his head, Aymeric Laporte, and he needs immediate attention.
Yeah, that doesn't look nice for Laporte. I was just watching the first incident, Sam, when we see the first Manchester City player go to ground. So I wasn't too sure what happened to Laporte. He's got a replay of it in front of us now, and it's Haaland again who goes to ground, but
oh, it's Ethan Pinnock's elbow which has done the damage in the face of Aymeric Laporte, who is in the Spain squad to go to the World Cup in Qatar, but has got blood pouring from his head after receiving a nasty blow to the top of his eye, and he is having to be patched up on the field of play here.
Yeah, it didn't look very nice, did it, for Laporte? And I was just watching the incident with Erling Haaland. I mean, the Brentford defenders are going to have to be careful, because that's 2 or 3 occasions now where Haaland has found himself going to ground. There was 3 players around him. It was Ben Mee who made contact with him, and another defender just inside who kind of blocked his run as that ball was coming into the area. And I'm sure Peter Banks is keeping an eye on that as this game goes on, just to make sure that there's no contact like we've seen in certain games in the Premier League this season, with arms wrapped around a player. So easy to give a penalty away, and that is the last thing that Brentford need to do, considering the way that they've performed so far in this game.
Ruben Dias is available to the manager if they want to make a like-for-like switch. Calvin Phillips can even fill in there if necessary, but it is Ruben Dias who's going through a sustained warm-up on this near touchline, just in case he is called upon for Manchester City, and it looks very much like he is going to be. John Stones just coming out on this near touchline to have a word. We are in a little break of play here, and Pep Guardiola is using that time to have a word with his troops. I don't know if you heard the breakfast show this week, but there were some massive names with Laura, with Ali, with Alan over the course of the week. Alan Shearer was on the programme earlier in the week. Mark Noble was on as well. Wayne Rooney was brilliant on Friday morning after the England squad announcement. Connor Cody was on again. Adam Lallana from Brighton was on too. Some big names planned for next week as well. Make sure you tune in to Talksport Breakfast every morning from 6 o'clock. You just ask your smart speaker to play Talksport.
This incident, Sam, that's happening in front of us now, where we've got a delay in play. If Laporte has to go off with a concussion, and that gives Manchester City obviously the opportunity to bring a substitute on, and Brentford also can do the exact same thing. But the way I go back to the way that they've started the game, would they actually want to make a change, Brentford, or would you just keep things the way that they are? No, they come out in the second half and it's basically been backs against the wall. They can't get out of their own half. But I just wonder whether Thomas Frank, it doesn't look like he is, but I wonder if he, in the back of his mind, is thinking, okay, this is a perfect time to make a change.
Well, he doesn't look like he's forthcoming with his personnel. There was quite a bit of a hefty discussion on the near touchline during the course of the half-time break, but no changes have taken place so far.
We're going to get quite a bit of a delay at the end of this game as well, because Laporte looks as if he's in a bit of a state on the ground, and obviously rightly so. He's getting the treatment on the pitch as we're speaking.
Some of the players still going through little movements to keep themselves moving. Christian Norgard was the one who was getting quite a talking to from Thomas Frank, and he is getting a hefty warm-up on this near touchline. He might be a change. And we have got more live commentaries to come for you this afternoon. Perry Groves watching the game alongside Ian Danter at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Tottenham Leeds is 3 o'clock. Wolves Arsenal is at 7:45 tonight. The game day phone-in with Gabby Bonlahor and Jamie O'Hara is from 5:30 tonight, after we brought you all the classified check with Adrian Durham after the game and rounded up all the day's goals as they go in. We've had 2 goals here. It took just 16 minutes for Brentford to take the lead and capitalise on what was a really good opening to the game for the visitors. They scored through Ivan Toney, who had been left out of the England squad, but has proved that he is a regular scorer in the Premier League. And then, after warming up slowly into the latter part of that first half, eventually Manchester City were on target with a goal from Phil Foden, but they had a few shouts for a penalty in between time.
Yeah, they did. The Bernardo Silva one being the one that springs out straight away. Was it in or outside of the box? Well, speaking to Reshman at half-time, you're hoping that VAR have got that decision right. It's obviously going to be a talking point, which we've got in front of us. You'll tell me better, Sam, because I've not seen the squad. Is Laporte in the Spanish squad?
Yes.
So if it is concussion, how long does he have to wait before... would he be allowed to play in the first game, or is it a certain amount of days? I think is it 10 days?
Well, it depends what protocols you're following. I'm not to hand having the FIFA protocols right in front of me.
Well, it looks. I mean, it just looks like it's a clash of heads where he's obviously got a gash to the head, which is being strapped up in front of us right now. So I don't think it will go down as a concussion, but I'm sure that the doctors are going to have to look at it and diagnose it as something.
Yeah, but Spain's game isn't until November the 23rd, so that is going to be at least 10 days from now anyway.
So he's going to be okay.
So he'll be okay as long as the wound that he has picked up is healed. And their first game is against Costa Rica. It's live on Talksport. Join us for that. I'm very much looking forward to live commentary throughout the course of the tournament. I'll be doing the Game Day podcast every day for Talksport from Qatar. It'll be available to you around about 7:30 every morning, reflecting on what's happened the day before and looking ahead to what's happened or what's going to happen during that day. Every day you'll be able to download the Game Day podcast from Talksport. We're doing that with Samsung, and you can get it via the Talksport app. It's available to you as Emerick Laporte gets to his feet. And you can get it from Spotify, from the podcast app on your iPhone, if that's what you're using at present. And you can also get it from all your usual podcast providers. Emerick Laporte is back on his feet, up. I think that delay ended up being about 8 minutes.
Yeah. So we're obviously going to get that at the end of the match. It's nice to see Laporte back on his feet. He's all bandaged up now. He looks as if he's okay, yeah, and he wants to be a part of it.
Well, he's up on his feet. He's waiting on the halfway line to be reintroduced, and Manchester City are on the attack again. And the delay has been 8 and a bit minutes, and we are back underway, and Laporte is back on the ball down the left side. Gets a little ripple of applause from the supporters inside the stadium. He strides forward, plays it towards the left, picked up by Cancelo. Cancelo infield to Rodri. Rodri looks up, then tries to turn it out towards the near side. He pokes the ball on the edge of the penalty area, wide to the left, and Cancelo across these deep towards the far post, and it's headed away by Mbeumo, and then it's half clear. Comes back towards De Bruyne, who's nudged it down towards Bernardo Silva. It comes out on the near side, went to volley at Cancelo, then took it down right-footed, drives a shot towards the far corner, takes a deflection off Jorgensen and goes wide of the upright.
Well, he had a couple of little looks, didn't he, Cancelo? He wanted to strike that one on the volley as the ball was coming out to him, but he knew it was at an awkward height, so he had to wait till it came down to the ground. He had a little chop to his right, and he just tried to curl it into the bottom corner, and Jorgensen didn't really know too much about it.
Ball into the near post. Again, there's bodies collapsing everywhere, and the referee, I think, wants to take the high ground here. He's coming over and having a word with John Stones. I don't know if he's asking for the corner to be taken again because the infringement happened before the ball was hit, but Stones was wrestled to the floor by Jensen. Then the ball came in, and then there was a push and a shove. I don't know, but the referees said, do the corner again, let's start again, and let's stop pushing and shoving.
Yeah, I mean, again, Sam, I've mentioned this on 2 or 3 occasions. This one I don't think it was a penalty. It was John Stones just trying to get away from his marker and slipped a little bit. But the more it goes on, the referee, Peter Banks, will have a look at it and he will see something. And it's very easy to give away a silly penalty when not needed.
Remember what Fulham gave away a penalty right at the end of the game last weekend. The ball is crossed in by De Bruyne in towards Akanji. It's headed away by Jensen. Comes out as far as Bernardo Silva, right side of the area. He's helped it on to De Bruyne, who swished the ball back into the box. Not a great header by Roeslav, chested down by Laporte. He's juggled with it. He's volleyed it over the top of the crossbar. And it's away for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. It's still 1-1.
Sorry, Sam. Yeah, and again, Laporte there is just, it didn't come down for him. He was trying to get his strike away with his right foot, and it wouldn't come down for him. It wouldn't settle, so he's had to rush his strike. Wasn't really set to try and get his shot away. Came to nothing in the end.
Well, Manchester is always a surprise. Has a few surprises in its bag, doesn't it? 1 minute it can be raining, next minute bright sunshine. The sunshine has just crept over the top of the Etihad Stadium, and there's a few shards of sunlight slithering onto the pitch as we go into the second half here. 10 minutes to 2 on a Saturday afternoon. Manchester City 1, Brentford 1. These two teams' last games prior to the start of the World Cup in Qatar. The ball is on the right side with Stones. Stones under a little bit of pressure from Tony, but not much. He plays it wide right, collected by De Bruyne, and then it goes out to Akanji, and then further on towards this near side, and it's now with Laporte. Laporte into Gundogan, who goes down the left, gets to the byline, produces across towards the far post. It's over Haaland's head, comes through to De Bruyne on the right side of the area. He's right down on the byline. He recycles it into the box, looking for Foden. It's headed away by me. Good strong header by him, and it's out of the penalty area and cleared away towards the halfway line. Norgard about to come on for Brentford. It's 1-1 here on Talksport. Still Manchester City probing. Brentford haven't got over the halfway line in this second half. It's played forward by Laporte. Laporte onto Foden. Foden turns it back. It's now with Cancelo, who looks up. His eyes are darting. He's waiting for someone to make a move towards the near post. It goes to Rodri. Rodri tries to get it onto his right foot. He runs into Tony, and then he's forced backwards. Akanji is now being chased to halfway. A frustration from Pep Guardiola in those very tight charcoal jeans. Throws his arms out to the side, slaps his thighs, and screams at his players that he wants a little bit more decisiveness in the final third.
Well, there's been 2 touches in Manchester City's half in this second half, and have come from Akanji and Edison.
A few more now, and it's with Rico Henry on the left side, breaking down that flank, trying to get the cross into the centre. It's blocked by Akanji, and now they come out with the ball again. Manchester City, who lead the charge forward, but cannot get this goal that would put them in front in the game. It's 1-1 on Talksport. Still a long way to go. Haaland makes a break for it down the left-hand side, but it's watched well by Jorgensen ahead of Ethan Pinnock and Erling Haaland. Onyeka comes down the right side, collides with Laporte, gives away a free kick. It's going to be a Manchester City ball, and the substitution can take place now where Norgard will come on, and he is going to replace Vitaly Janol, who we haven't seen too much of in the game, but has had to get a lot of work done trying to help out control that midfield. He gets a salute from the travelling Brentford fans.
Yeah, it's not really happened for Jan Eltazi in that midfield area. He's basically been defending for the whole of the game. Ball's not really came into his area where he's been able to dictate and control things. It's not been that type of football match, to be completely honest with you, but they're going to have to try something, Brentford, in this second half. You cannot sit back for 45 minutes like they have done so far in this second half and hope to get away with it, because it's got that type of feel about it at the moment. Man City just need to try and be a little bit more patient in that final third, and they'll get their opportunity to break this back line of Brentford down.
Referee's unhappy about the time it has taken to take the free kick. There's some communication that needs to be sorted out on the far side with the officials. There is a burly looking fella attending the assistant opposite us, making sure that his radio is attached to his left bicep properly. Nick Grinhall is getting some adjustments made to his communication device. And now eventually he is going to be able to continue. There we are. Put your sleeve down, that's it. Makes your biceps look a little bit more bulging when you've got one of those devices strapped to them. Now we can start. The players are getting a little bit hurt. They couldn't get things underway again. The frustration inside the Etihad as well. So we're going to have at least 8 or 9 minutes added on at the end of the game.
Yeah, well, the flow's gone out of the game, hasn't it, because of the injury and the stoppage for the official to try and sort his little gadgets out. We just need to get back down to playing football.
Here is Onyeka, tight to the touchline on this right-hand side. It's kicked forward and away by Jorgensen. Then back it comes from Manchester City, won by Onyeka. Then it's with Ruoslav, who plays it behind Mbeumo. Stones anticipates that, drops into the middle of the City half and nudges it clear. It goes back to Bernardo Silva, who's driven into a difficult position by Akanji, but comes out of it brilliantly and weaves his way through midfield. Releases De Bruyne with a lovely little pass. De Bruyne charges forward, Onyeka dives in and scoops the ball back for Brentford. It was a good challenge by the Nigerian. 1-1 the score. Talksport live at the Etihad. Tony has made a run. Not going to get on the end of that ball. And it goes flying through past him into the end of the penalty box and into the arms of Ederson. Ederson quickly moves it upfield. Pep Guardiola urging Cancelo on. He travels infield now to Rodri. Rodri nudges it back to Cancelo again. There's space inside the penalty area for Erling Haaland. They go short instead to Stones and then wide to the right side and Bernardo Silva. Also very left-footed Bernardo Silva, but so effective too. Rodri forward to De Bruyne, dropping deep to nudge it back to Laporte. He's got space to run into. He just trots a little bit further forward up towards the edge of the area. Across by Cancelo is a ball. It's not actually the worst ball. He's dropped that into a dangerous area, in a packed penalty area where it's difficult to find space. That wasn't the worst option.
No, he was just waiting for a little bit of movement in front of him, Sam. But what I would say is Manchester City have got to move the ball a little bit quicker in this second 45 minutes because, yes, they're keeping hold of the ball, they're having a lot of possession, but because they're playing through the lines, it's given Brentford the opportunity to get everybody behind the ball like they did in the first half, and it makes it so hard for you to try and find one of your teammates. Yes, of course, they've got the quality to do it, but it's a little bit slow and languid at the moment. And just before that, Laporte had to clear his lines with his head. He's obviously got that strapped up, and straight away his hand went to his forehead, so it must be giving him a few problems.
Well, he's wearing a bandage, a tight bandage wrapped around his head. It looks a little bit like a massive plaster that's been wrapped right around the front of his head. Here is Gundogan in down the right side, looking for Haaland into the area, tries to turn, nudges it back to Gundogan over the top of the crossbar. Popped up just in front of him, he shinned it. Well, the ball down the right-hand side to play Gundogan in was perfect the first time. He looked on for Haaland, Haaland returned it. And playing the 1-2 with the big Norwegian. Ilkay Gundogan could not convert at the second attempt. It was a really good move by Manchester City. It just flicked up in front of Gundogan and he couldn't keep the shot under control. It went over the bar and it's out for a goal kick. That's the closest they've come in the second half.
Yeah, it certainly is. Hands on head from Pep Guardiola. Brilliant move from Manchester City. Just went through the gears, and as that ball went into Haaland, you're thinking, is he going to shoot with his right foot? He played a lovely ball back to Gundogan.
Tony on the volley from the edge of the area, from across from the right hand side, and his volley is smothered down to the left by Ederson. It's cleared away.
The game again starting to spring to life in the second half. End-to-end football now. Great opportunity there from Tony. Instinctive. First time on the volley. Hits the target. Makes Ederson make the save. I think that's all you can ask from that position he found himself in. Great strike.
Laporte over the halfway line into Gundogan, then back to Rodri. Rodri takes a little movement through the middle of the park. He's trying to punch it out towards the left now, and Cancelo, who's on the edge of the 18-yard box. Foden's made a forward run. Back to Cancelo again. City amassed on the edge of the Brentford box. It's over the head of Haaland, away by Ben Mee, and then picked up by Tony, who has invited Mbeumo into a foot race with Laporte, which Mbeumo is going to win. He's got there. Who's backing him up? Oh, no one. He's given the ball straight back to Foden. What a waste.
It's a complete waste. Brilliant ball out from Ivan Toney, and Mbeumo's shown his pace. But you have to do better with the ball than that.
Rodri onto Gundogan, back out to Rodri, then De Bruyne, first time ball to the far post. It goes past everybody again. And there just seems to be a lack of connection when the ball gets on the edge of the box for Manchester City. They haven't quite got things clicking into gear. The synapses aren't quite sparking as maybe they should be. We've got 68 minutes on the clock plus the added time at the end of the game, which will be considerable. Manchester City 1, Brentford 1 is the current score, and for the latest odds you can head to Betfair, the official betting partner of Talksport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Manchester City to win the game 9-4 on. Brentford is 14, draw is 12-5. It's all thanks to Betfair 18+. BeGambleAware.com.
Well, it's not often you can say Kevin De Bruyne drops his head and drops his shoulders and starts shaking his head, and you find Erling Haaland a little bit flat-footed from a ball into the box from Kevin De Bruyne.
Let's go off to Tottenham Leeds and get the team news from Ian Danter.
Well, Dejan Kulusevski and Richarlison both returned to the Spurs starting lineup from their last Premier League game, the defeat here to Liverpool. Sessegnon is injured and Bissouma drop out. As for Leeds, one change from that thrilling win against Bournemouth last Saturday, and the man who set up the winner, Wilfried Gnotto, comes in for Jack Harrison in Leeds' only change. Tottenham Leeds live on Talksport here at 3 o'clock.
Free kick to Brentford back here at the Etihad Stadium, flicking the ball towards the edge of the box, aiming it towards Pinnock. It's headed away by John Stones, who's got a whack now. Picked up by De Bruyne, back to Bernardo Silva right side. He elevates the ball high into the Brentford half, so we'll go off to the London Stadium. West Ham against Leicester. Team news from Dan Windle.
West Ham need a win, Sam. The Hammers unchanged though from last Sunday's league defeat to Palace. No Mikel Antonio on the bench for the hosts. Leicester make one change from their Premier League win at Everton last weekend. Luke Thomas comes in at full-back for the injured James Justin. Patson Daka keeps his place up front.
Roslav just broken into the Manchester City half, got down the right, produced a cross. It's smothered by Ederson, just starting to open up a bit here at the Etihad, where it's Manchester City 1, Brentford 1. Liverpool need a win at Anfield. Matt Jones has the team news.
And they make one change from the side that won against Spurs last weekend. Joe Gomez comes in for Ibrahima Konate. And as for Southampton, who they face, it's a first game in charge for Nathan Jones. Just the two changes from the side that got hammered by Newcastle, though. Gillette Sarr and Adam Armstrong come in for Maitland-Niles and Theo Walcott. Kick-off is at 3.
Here back at the Etihad, it's 1-1 between Manchester City and Brentford, and Manchester City are on the prowl again with Cancelo bending a ball into the box, which is headed away out towards the far side. It's picked up by Bernardo Silva, back in by Stones. The low ball, which is prodded clear by Rico Henry. It was a poor delivery by Stones. Up towards the midway point of the Brentford half. Chested down by Foden, who turns, swivels, and smashes the ball goalwards. It's over the top of the crossbar. The two men in the frame for the Bournemouth job are Marcelo Bielsa and Gary O'Neill. We might get more clarity on that after the game today. But what's the team news from their match against Everton? Alex Crook.
Two changes apiece as Bournemouth bring in Stevens and Zamora for Mepham and Fredericks. Patterson and Mopé recalled by Everton, with Coleman and the injured Calvert-Lewin dropping out. It's Bournemouth against Everton.
Off to the City ground, Jeff Peters for team news.
Well, three changes in defence for Forest from the draw, with Brentford, Worrell, Bolly and Lodi come in for Cook, McKenna and Williams, who are benched. Also Lingard in for Dennis. Those four played well in the Cup in midweek. Palace unchanged from their win at West Ham.
Emerick Laporte has just come to Manchester City's rescue as Brentford went on the attack. Rico Henry down the left, centering the ball to Ivan Toney, and across came Laporte and dived in at just the right time to stop Toney from scoring. What a bit of defending by the man who's strapped up, continued to play despite a World Cup place being already his.
I mean, how has that not found its way into the back of the net? Rico Henry, it's a fantastic run down the left-hand side. He gets the better of his marker. As that ball's going across the 6-yard area, Laporte's gone the wrong way. From my reckoning, he's tried to just clear his line, just scooped up the top of his foot, and it slid away from that back post. This game is starting to open up at both ends. Counter-attacks from Brentford. Man City, they have to start passing this ball around quicker. It's not happening for them.
It's 1-1. Here is Manchester City's Phil Foden teeing up Rodri. He's going to shoot from distance towards the far corner. Good save that by David Raya. Springs to the left, clutches the ball out of the sky, pulls it into his chest and down. Those two will be sharing a dinner table next week with the Spain international squad.
A good chance, Rodri. But again, Sam, outside of the 18-yard area. We know that they've got the quality, but the frustration is that they can't work that ball quick enough inside the 18-yard box to get Haaland involved in the game a little bit more. Phil Foden inside the 18-yard box just had a lovely strike himself from outside the box, left foot half volley.
Johan Wissa is coming on. Brian Burmo's just been booked actually for a tug on the halfway line, is coming off. So Wissa on and Burmo off. So in Burmo's last action for Brentford until after the World Cup. It looks like he's going away with Cameroon. He was enticed to play for Cameroon after a discussion with Rigobert Song. He was switching his allegiance to the indomitable Lions during August, played for them in September, and now he will go to the World Cup as part of their squad, which is a pretty big turnaround. You're listening here to Talksport. Manchester City 1, Brentford 1 on Talksport with Car Finance 24/7. Search Car Finance 24/7 today. Ball into the Manchester City box, trying to be helped on by Jensen, then Roeslav nudges it forward. It falls to Jorgensen, who is penalised for a foul right on the edge of the box. Jorgensen complaining about that, and the referee Peter Branks wants to have a word with him. No, come back here. No, I know you've run 50 yards, but come back. I want to talk to you. Let's get on with it.
Yeah, exactly that. Trying to do a little bit of time wasting at the moment, trying every trick in the book, Sam Brentford, to stay on the coattails of Manchester City.
Cancelo down the left. Norgard will try and protect his goal by getting in front of Gundogan, smashed away by David Raya. I think actually at the start of this second half, I thought Manchester City, it was just a matter of time before they prized open Brentford. In this latter part of it, since that injury to Aymeric Laporte, it's sort of just taken the wind out of the City sail.
Yeah, you're completely right. Running out of ideas, getting frustrated themselves.
Ball in by De Bruyne, goes right through the penalty area, eludes Haaland, goes out the other side, and then is tucked out for a throw-in level at the edge of the penalty area by Mads Roeslav. It's still 1-1. There will be a huge amount of time to be added on at the end of the game because of an injury to Aymeric Laporte and then a communications failure. So we'll probably be playing here for at least another 25 minutes. Here is Akanji on to Laporte. Laporte infield. Collecting the ball is Rodri. Rodri to Haaland round the corner. Might come through to Gundogan. It almost did. It popped up off one foot, then came off the back of a defender and didn't land for him. Bounces behind and goes out and away for a goal kick. This is Talksport, live at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City trying to match the Premier League record of scoring multiple goals in 16 successive home fixtures, which was set by Liverpool in 2019. They have to do that if they want to put the scoreboard pressure on Arsenal ahead of the World Cup. Mistake by Foden, giving the ball away. Rico Henry escapes with it. Over the halfway line he goes. Down to the left, Jensen takes over. Given too much space to get the cross in. It's deep towards Tony, who funnels it back across the face of goal. Wissa isn't there. It comes out on the edge and Gundogan will clear. Up to Haaland, and now can City turn themselves into an attacking force. De Bruyne holds on to it well. Looks for the run of Haaland. He's bent the ball to the edge of the box, but it's too close to David Raya. And Haaland's run is a forlorn one.
Well, it's a pass that's come off for the two guys on numerous occasions so far this season, and you can see Kevin De Bruyne, he just slows himself down and he wants to play that through ball, but it's such a tight angle to try and get that through between goalkeeper and centre half for Erling Haaland. We've not said this many times, Sam, have we? Over 75 minutes, he's not had a strike on goal yet.
(1-1). Manchester City, if it stays like this, will be allowing Arsenal to have top spot at Christmas. Cancelo from distance, powering the ball forward, and it's saved brilliantly by David Raya, who knew that ball was moving in the air. Just leant to his right, pushed it round the post, and it's out for a City corner.
Yeah, great strike, Cancelo. He's been quite quiet, actually takes a deflection as well. It's a brilliant save from Raya.
Here is Foden with a left-footed delivery towards the far post. Raya didn't come this time. It drops for Gundogan, who's got right underneath it, and that's going into the top tier. Oh dear.
Yeah, it's happened on a few occasions, hasn't it? With Phil Foden's had a chance. I think it was John Stones early in the first half. Shot didn't really threaten the goal. Gundogan there, he had so much time. I thought he was actually going to take that one on the volley, but he's waited to catch it on the half volley, which is so difficult to do when you've got players around you.
Games were tight between the two.
Wrong.
Sorry, Mickey. The games were tight between the two last season. Manchester City did the double over Brentford in the Premier League, but they've never won 3 consecutive league games against them. And they are not winning this one. I think City won 2-0 here in February. Riyad Mahrez and Kevin De Bruyne scored. And at that stage, Manchester City were 12 points clear at the top of the table. It got a little bit tighter than that. De Bruyne out to Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva back to Rodri. Rodri, who's 7 yards back from the edge of the 18-yard box, goes wide. It's collected by De Bruyne. Round the corner, Stones trying to get on the end of it. Not going to reach that. And it's Raya who is the grateful recipient.
It's just those little final balls into the area. Crossings not being the greatest we've seen this afternoon. Kevin De Bruyne's through balls haven't quite been there. They're a little bit too pacey. John Stones coming from that right back position, trying to get on the end of this one. It just had too much pace on it.
Brentford's last win at Manchester City, against Manchester City in the league was 1951, 2-0. Fred Monk and Bill Sperrin scoring the goals at Griffin Park. The only time they've ever won away at Manchester City was Christmas Day, 1937.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Well, I think this is a different Manchester City side now.
It's a different Brentford side.
Yeah, that's very true.
But Brentford have won a free kick in a dangerous area. Out on the right-hand side, Johan Bissou, who is a pretty effective substitute. 5 goals in 26 Premier League sub-appearances, only 5 in 18 Premier League starts. He is one of the most productive substitutes in the Premier League. And he's off the bench today to try and cause problems for Manchester City. He's won this free kick, and it's going to be taken on this near side. Matthias Jensen of Denmark placing the ball down, 7 or 8 steps in from the right touchline, level with the edge of the penalty area. City defending, everyone in blue inside the box. Pep crouched down on one knee in a low lunge with his left hand on his knee. The ball is towards the far post, and it was a really good delivery which Pinnock almost got on the end of, but it just whistled past him and goes out the other side.
Well, if I'm Jensen, I'm having a word with my teammates there and saying, why are you not getting on the end of that? I mean, it's a brilliant ball into the area, and Pinnock is the only Brentford player who really looks as if he wants to try and get on the end of it. The rest of them have kind of sat back and waited for something else coming, but you've got to try and read that situation. Super ball into the box.
That was a brilliant arcing delivery from Matthias Jensen. Didn't come off for Brentford in terms of creating a goal-scoring chance, but he's a terrific little player. He'll create chances, he'll press for you, he'll pass the ball in the opposition's box at will. When they are productive, he's usually at the heart of it. Here is Cancelo down the left, playing it into Phil Foden, attempting to turn away from Christian Norgard. Norgard just drops back in as Foden runs up towards the edge of the area. It's played square to Stones, wider onto De Bruyne. De Bruyne pushing the ball into Bernardo Silva. Elevated into the air, the left foot drives the ball up into the box. Haaland thinks he was tugged to the floor. Referee says no. And then it's back to the right side, and De Bruyne. De Bruyne trying to deliver a ball in from that right side, a low one which is dealt with by Norgard. It's away on the far side. 1-1 the score. De Bruyne commits a foul. It's going to be a free kick. Brentford quite happy to waste as much time as they possibly can. We've only got 9 minutes of normal time left, but we'll have at least another 9 minutes after that.
Yeah, I think it's been a really scrappy second half. We've had injuries. We've had an official changing some of the gadgets on his arm. It's not really had that flow of what we normally see when we come to the Etihad Stadium. And I suppose that's down to the way that Brentford have defended. They've got everybody back in numbers and made it hard for Man City to break them down, trying to catch them on the counter-attack. And they've had a couple of really good opportunities themselves. But the game's lost that flow, and I think it's starting to filter through to the supporters in this stadium now. They're getting upset because of how many fouls are being given. It needs to get going, Sam, but there's not long to go.
I can't work out whether Pep Guardiola is trying to gesticulate to Kevin De Bruyne to come a little bit more narrower, or he's trying to coach Tony Adams through the tango. One of the two. It is Talksport. You're listening to Manchester City 1, Brentford 1. It's on Talksport with Now Sports. And don't forget that with Now Sports you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Newcastle versus Chelsea, Wolves versus Arsenal live today for $11.99. Search Now Sports. Bernardo Silva, 5 yards outside the Brentford penalty area. controlled by Stones as it's swished to him. Comes back onto the left foot of De Bruyne, who shoots low towards the near post, saved by David Raya, who goes down and stops it right at the foot of the left-hand upright. Been watching Strictly? You've been watching Tony Adams do his bits?
No, I haven't, Sam. Sorry, and
That's not very
I
supportive,
apologise.
is it?
I apologise for not listening to your commentary on it as well.
It's the other show, mate.
Oh, is
Thanks.
it? Oh, right. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I thought I'd wait to listen to yours. That's why I've not been watching it.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. All right. Okay.
No, when is
Great
that,
mates,
when
me
is
and
it
Nicky,
on,
honest.
Is it on a Saturday?
What, Strictly?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
What's
And a
the-
Sunday.
What about the one you do?
Sundays from January. You'll be able to join us there.
I'm busy weekends.
We'd like to get you on the ice.
No,
Manchester City on thin ice at the moment because it's 1-1 here and they can't find a breakthrough. It's played in field towards Rodri. Rodri moves up through the middle of the park and plays it left, and it's collected now by Cancelo, who plays it in field to Foden. Back to Cancelo. A little shift past the defender. He goes down and he gets a yellow card for simulation after colliding with Jorgensen and trying to win a penalty. And actually, looking at the way he's reacted to it, that might well have been the case.
Yeah, he's apologised, and it's actually quite refreshing to see. I mean, it actually looked like there was contact with Cancelo. The give and go, he gets himself into the area, and in real play, Sam, it looked like a penalty to me, but he puts his hand up, he accepts it was a yellow card.
It was a dive.
Yeah.
And he has said as much. He said, I'm sorry. He put his hand up, pointed to his chest, put his arm up, said, yeah, that's down to me.
Yeah, well, look,
at least he did that.
Absolutely. It's about time he started to spring into life, because you normally see Cancelo going into those midfield areas, getting involved. I don't think you've seen him do that once in this game. He's had that strike which was cleared just about off the line, and that second opportunity there with a lovely little move, but fair play to him for putting his hands up.
Here is Onyeka trying to fight down in the right corner and keep the ball away from harm's way. It's picked up by Foden, who robs him and runs the ball up over halfway, looking for Haaland. It was such a big ball out towards the left-hand side. It was going to be difficult for Haaland to challenge for it. Nudged back by Ethan Pinnock and into the arms of David Raya, and it will be cleared away. Brentford haven't scored very regularly since the Leeds game when they smashed them for 5. They've scored 6 in their last 8 appearances before today. They've got on the scoreboard here, and that goal that they scored after 16 minutes at the moment is earning them a point at the Etihad Stadium, where they've previously lost on their only other visit here. This is only their second trip to the Etihad Stadium. Here is Foden trying to get the better of Roeslav. He's fighting his way into the box. He's got away from him. Tries to put it through the area. There's a collision. Roeslav thought he was going to get a foul. He didn't. Gundogan's now trying to test his resilience as well. And the ball's gone out for a goal kick away to our left, just narrowly. But there is a little bit of fight about Manchester City, who are getting frustrated as we go into the final 4 minutes of normal time. There will be a change here for Brentford, stiffening up that midfield. Onyeka, who's got through a lot of work, is being replaced by Josh Da Silva.
A change that was probably expected, just to sharpen things up a little bit. But you're right about Brentford now. They're going to have to hang on. I think we're talking 8 or 9 minutes, maybe even more than that, added on time at the end of this game. And it's going to be an onslaught from Manchester City. They're going to try everything to try and get in behind this back line of Brentford, who've been absolutely solid, apart from giving that goal away just before half-time. But don't come away from the Etihad Stadium thinking to yourself, it was that split moment where we made that mistake and Man City got in behind us. You've got to keep going to that final whistle, and Thomas Frank has got to try and get that information and that message across to his players.
What do you make of this substitution? Julian Alvarez is on, and off comes João Cancelo. That will be a shift, won't it?
Yes. It looks like Phil Foden actually has come over to this left-back position.
To play left-back.
Which is very bizarre, and Alvarez has gone in front of him, so that's a strange one. But look, Sam, they have to try something if they want to go on and win this match.
Visser punching the ball out towards the left-hand side. A yard in from the touchline is Rico Henry. He looks up, his eyes are darting everywhere. He goes down the outside, he produces a cross into the box. It's headed on by Tony. It just flicks away rather than 2 goal, and it's picked up by Alvarez, who scored 3 goals in his last 3 games for Manchester City, and he scampers towards the halfway line. It's 1-1. We've only got a few minutes remaining here on Talksport, live at the Etihad Stadium in the sunshine at Manchester's Etihad Stadium, where Akanji plays the ball square into Laporte and then back out to Foden on this near side. Silva with a scoop over the top of Norgard. Space for Gundogan. Now space for Alvarez to run into. Haaland wants the ball. Alvarez might go for goal himself. He drives it behind Haaland, who slipped. And Alvarez didn't go for goal. He tried to find his teammate, but his teammate slipped at the vital moment and he played it behind him.
What a break down this left-hand side by Manchester City, but I think Alvarez has made the wrong decision. He's a man in form. When he's played at the Etihad Stadium, he scores goals, and he scored goals with his left foot. He had the chance to take the strike on. Now, he's probably got a thought, and he said, Erling is in the middle, I've got to try and find my teammate. Haaland was ahead of the ball. Even if he didn't slip, Sam, I don't think he's getting on the end of that cross. That's a big chance for Man City.
Well, if you're a Brentford fan, it's okay just to turn down the volume for 5 seconds. Erling Haaland has scored in each of his last 8 home games. You can turn it back up now, it's okay.
The cynic in me, Sam. Cancelo goes to ground, there's no contact. Has Pep Guardiola taken off because he doesn't like his players diving?
If that is the case, that should be applauded. Here is Foden down the left side. As Manchester City come again, it's going to be a long period of injury time for Manchester City to weather. For Brentford to weather against Manchester City. Here is Laporte, 1-1 the score, going into the final few seconds of normal time at the end of this thrilling 90 minutes. Really, we've had brilliant football at times, and then large periods of deadness where there hasn't been much happening, mainly because we had such a huge delay of 8.5 minutes for an injury to Aymeric Laporte, which he has sustained but continued through. Here is De Bruyne, back to Rodri. Rodri trying to weave his way through. He charges past 2 players, gets the return from Alvarez. It's cleared away by Ethan Pinnock, and then up it goes as far as the midpoint of the City half, and then there's a foul on Ivan Toney by Alvarez. It's going to be a free kick. We're understanding there's 10 minutes of added time at the end of the game. 10 minutes to be added on to this match. The 100-minute football match is about to be seen in the Premier League again.
Just what you need before travelling away to a World Cup.
You're not going anywhere. You're going to Burnley Blackburn. What are you moaning about?
I'll come if you like.
Burnley Blackburn tomorrow 12:30. That's what you're doing, isn't it?
Yes.
Over on Talksport 2.
I am indeed.
Looking forward to that. And we will have other games apart from just the World Cup games. We've got some FA Cup games in the second round that are incoming your way. We'll have Adrian in Doha next Saturday doing around the grounds from all the EFL games that are taking place. So we've still got our finger on the pulse back here, as well as keeping an eye on what's happening in the World Cup. And remember, the Game Day podcast is every day available to you on the TalkSport app and via Spotify, iTunes, wherever you get your podcast. Here is De Silva into the box, looking for Tony. Tony skips round the defender, shoots towards the near corner. It's saved by Ederson. What a save by Ederson. What a vital intervention by the Brazilian goalkeeper, because that ball was being held in the corner by Ruislav. He flicked it out. It scooped into the path of De Silva, who found Ivan Toney, whose quick feet took him away from Laporte, and it was only the quick thinking of Ederson that saved City's blushes.
Well, I know they've got a corner coming into the area now, but what a move from Brentford. And Ivan Toney, as he falls to him, he just skips by Laporte. What a save from Ederson.
Here's the corner, late in the game. We're into the first of 10 added minutes at the end of the 90 on TalkSport. Into the near post, flicked by Norgard. It's helped back into the area. There's a fall by a Brentford player that the referee is okay with, and City will bring it clear, and De Bruyne will escape, and De Bruyne will, well, he was about to pull the trigger, and then Jensen was tugging him back, and it's going to be a free kick, and Jensen's going to get a yellow card.
Yeah, rightly so. And then Kevin De Bruyne had just got away from his marker there, Jensen. He had to pull him down, because you could see in front of him Alvarez, Haaland, just waiting for that through ball. But these are the minutes now, what I call championship minutes, where you've got to try and just give everything to try and break down Brentford, who basically been so solid at the back.
Well, Brentford are the so solid crew. But there's more than 21 seconds to go. The ball's into the box towards the far post. It's headed away by the defender. It's out to the right side. You didn't need to hit me. And then it's Akanji who strikes from distance over the top of the crossbar. Yeah, there's at least another 8 minutes to go. Reshman didn't like my early 2000s music reference there, did you?
Well, so
by the way.
I'll set them up, Sam. You knock them in.
Akanji driving that ball towards goal. It ballooned behind and away for a goal kick. It is Brentford at the moment who will be the happier of the two teams, but the happiest of all, Arsenal. 1-1. You'll be able to follow them later on tonight. Wolves against Arsenal is live and only on Talksport, 7:45 this evening. Ball cleared from inside the Brentford half. 1-1 the score. It's up towards Visser, who's spotted Tony, who's offside. He kicks it away. No, you don't care. Give me a yellow card, I don't mind. I'm wasting time. I want to get back to London with a point in my back pocket, he says. Doesn't get booked anyway. Free kick is given to Manchester City deep inside their own half. 48 minutes have been played. Edison nudges it through from the 18-yard box into space for Rodri, who gallops over the halfway line. His eyes darting left, right, forward. Where's the outlet? He continues to hold on to the ball to the midway point of the Brentford half. Releases it to De Bruyne. De Bruyne out to this near touchline, and now Alvarez, who takes it, travels with it up to the 18-yard box. Back in field to De Bruyne again. Wider still onto Foden. Foden engaging, trying to go on the outside, producing a cross towards the far post. Stones trying to meet it. Comes out to Bernardo Silva. Goes back out towards the right-hand side. Akanji dithers. It's played to the left. And De Bruyne back out wide to Foden. Foden with another cross. Remember, Foden's playing at left back at the moment. Onto the edge of the area, and Rodri, who's dispossessed by Tony. Norgard forward. Gets it to Visser. Visser wants to hold on to it. Wasn't going anywhere. The free kick was called back to be given for a foul on Norgard. And Brentford will take a few more vital minutes of a breather.
Well, I was going to say, Sam, that Brentford are hanging on to a point, but I go back to that Ivan Toney opportunity. I mean, it's a brilliant move from Brentford down the right-hand side. He gets away from Laporte, and as he got the chance to dink it over Edison, taking nothing away from the save, it was absolutely outstanding, but Thomas Frank fell to his knees. He knew how big of an opportunity that was. I'm talking about Man City putting so much pressure on Brentford, but there's always going to be chances, because they commit so many players forward for Brentford to break and catch them on the counter-attack.
We're into minute 5 of 10 added at the end of the 90 here on Talksport. It's 1-1 between Manchester City, the champions, and Brentford. And if it stays like this, it's advantage Arsenal going into the international break. They will be top at Christmas if it stays like this. Throw in on the right side by Jensen. Everybody in the red and white stripes of Brentford are in the Manchester City half. Dispatched by Raya out towards the far side, the left. Tony is chasing the loose ball. It's been nudged down, and he miskicked it. And actually, had he swished that through the penalty area, there might well have been a problem for Manchester City. There wasn't. Edison has played out, and now City are coming forward, and Brentford are scampering back into position. 1-1 the score on Talksport. The ball played left. Remember, an injury time goal won the match for Manchester City last Saturday against Fulham. And it was 1-1 for much of the latter part of that game too. Before Haaland's penalty, De Bruyne went down, maybe a little bit easy. Here is Foden. Back to Bernardo Silva. Is there late drama here at the Etihad Stadium? Silva trying to tease his way past Josh De Silva, who did very well to hold him off. Laporte back to Bernardo Silva. 1-1 the score. De Bruyne just overran it slightly, invited the intervention from Norgard. They'll be pleased to see him back, by the way, Brentford.
No, absolutely. Pep Guardiola in front of us now is telling his players to go wide either side. John Stones was very narrow, waiting for that cross to come into the box, but it's just not coming. And Pep, he's getting so frustrated. I said they have to move the ball quicker to break them down.
Scampering forward towards the edge of the box. He plays it across the edge of the 18-yard area into Rodri. Stones waits 1-2 seconds, then back to Rodri, fires one in towards the near post, blocked by Ben Mee. It's repelled by Brentford. All hands to the pump now by the Bees. They are the worker bees right now. Here is Rodri down the right side towards Stones, getting into the box, scything over the ball, and then back to De Bruyne, whose ball into the area is headed away by Jorgensen, back in by Rodri, dropped to Laporte, onto Foden, going to strike in over the top of the bar by a yard. He thinks it's a good deflection, so does the referee. It's a corner kick.
Well, I mean, it's moved left to right from Manchester City, and they're just waiting for that ball to come in the area. Doesn't eventually. It comes out to Phil Foden, who's been Man City's biggest threat this afternoon. And when he sets up to strike that, he just needs to keep it a little bit lower.
Still 4 minutes to play. Ball played in by Foden. In towards Haaland. He went to get there, but Kanji took it off his toes. And now, the escape might be on for Johan Visser, who's powering forward. It's 3-on-2 in Brentford's favour. And there's space for Josh Da Silva on the right. The ball wasn't perfect. It's picked up by Da Silva. He moves into the area. Chase it across the face of goal. It's touched in by Tony. And Brentford may just have stolen all 3 points at the Etihad Stadium. What a break from the Bees. And it looks like they're going to leave Manchester City with a stinging feeling just before the World Cup break. A dramatic counter-attack. And Brentford, who scored the first goal of the game, made Mickey Gray just have scored the last goal of the game. It's Manchester City 1, Brentford 2.
Unbelievable. It's absolutely incredible. From one end, Manchester City are on the break. They lose the ball. And they do ever so well. Visser on that left-hand side. I think it's Kevin De Bruyne who he skips by, and he just bursts into Manchester City's half, works it over to this right-hand side. And that simple ball, well, I say simple, not at this time of the game, it's not. Pull it across the 6-yard area, and you just want your man in the middle of the box there to put the ball in the back of the net. What a shock we have got on the cards here. Absolutely incredible.
Well, Ivan Toney was left out of the England World Cup squad, but he has scored 2 goals in response to that at the home of the champions and one of the hottest sides in the league. And Manchester City's long home unbeaten run is under severe threat. We have played 98 minutes. It's been a long, long time since anyone came here and won. But Brentford may well be just about to do it. The 19th of February. We were here on Talksport. It was a late injury time goal, and there might be another one. It's 3-on-1 in Brentford's favour as they break away with Josh Da Silva. Tony's on a hat-trick. Tony to finish it. Tony puts it towards goal. It's cleared off the line by Kevin De Bruyne and put out on the far side. Manchester City so open as they went for the equaliser. It was 3-on-2 and a great chance to make it completely safe for Brentford is missed by Ivan Toney, who just didn't get enough power in the shot when he found himself one-on-one. He took too many touches to get himself set, and De Bruyne was just about there.
Yeah, he was in the end, but he won't get a better opportunity to score a hat-trick against Manchester City, Ivan Toney. Probably the better of the 3 opportunities, but he just delayed after his first touch and couldn't really get his shot away before Kevin De Bruyne found himself back on the goal line.
Strange things happen just before World Cups. Strange things happen at the end of seasons. This isn't the end of the season, but it is just going into a period of pause. And maybe, just maybe, Manchester City haven't been at it enough today. They're going to be beaten by Brentford. 2-1 is the score. We've played 100 minutes. And we were allotted 10 at the end of the 90. But we keep going in the sunshine in Manchester. Manchester City trailing, losing for the first time possibly since they were beaten by Tottenham live on Talksport. It will be City's first defeat since then. It will be Brentford's first win away from home all season. Foden down the left now, trying to steer the ball into the box. Haaland underneath it. 2-1 to Brentford away from home. Over on the far side, the ball goes out of play, and there is the full-time whistle, and it's a celebration for Brentford and for the Gunners, because Arsenal will be top at Christmas. And in 10 of the last 13 seasons, the team that have been top when the presents have been opened have won the ultimate gift. Manchester City beaten on their own patch for the first time since February. A 16-game winning run has come to an end, and it's come to an end in dramatic style right at the very end. Ivan Toney with 2 goals in the week that he was jettisoned from the England squad. Maybe with a point to prove, quite possibly. Pep Guardiola said it didn't really matter whether they won or lost today in the title race. I'm not so sure about that. Arsenal had the opportunity to open up a gaping lead at the top of the Premier League table when they play Wolves tonight, live on Talksport, thanks to defeat at home for the first time this season for Manchester City. It's a massive win for Brentford just before the World Cup. They're first on the road this campaign. It's Manchester City 1, Brentford 2.